It's Street Talk time for this week, and like it or not, we were back to 6 episodes this week, so we've got plenty to talk about, and we're going to be talking about the whole shebang, but not the whole shebang first. We're going to be talking about the whole shebang second, which is the David and Shona storyline. We are going to be starting off with a serious case of the Ollie Wobbles, or I've got another storyline title with this,
really
and I am so
proud
proud of this storyline title. It's another one that needs an awful lot of explanation,
This
but I
is
am
one
very, very, very happy with the
that
storyline
probably
title.
cost us 40-50 grand to come up with, because
What?
this is the product of your
Of my university education, yes, as you know.
which was very useful.
As you know, buddy, I did French and German at university. Well, you may not know that, but I did. And I learnt in German, and German is very important to the storyline this week, because obviously they're going to get this expensive German medical doctor coming over and telling Ollie, get up and walk.
Yeah.
So,
Just
German
really
is
hard.
important. He's also very expensive.
Yeah, very
What is
expensive.
the word for expensive in German? Listener Bianca Kiesling, this one is for you. That's right, it's teuer. So, this episode title, this week, podcast title, storyline, I don't even know what I'm saying. We are calling this Toya Battersby. I am really, really happy. Yes. I'm very happy. Toya
Well done,
Battersby.
Michael.
Oh, it's so Toya. That's right, German for Toya. German for expensive is Toya. So when German says, oh, that is so Toya, they're not saying what a lovely floral outfit that person is wearing. They're saying that that's really expensive. £500,000 for a little snot-nosed kid.
You
Oh,
can't
surely he's
say
worth,
that.
surely he's worth it,
Oh,
everybody.
no.
Anyway, Toya Battersby is first. Then we're going to be talking about the whole shebang. Then we got the Todd Squad, although actually it's nothing to do with the Todd Squad this week. I just didn't have a storyline title for the whole Kel thing. Kel, kill. I'm sure there's something in there somewhere. Abby Debbie Doo-Doo comes next with her addiction.
Abby Dabby Doo-Doo.
Abby Debbie Doo-Doo.
Abby
Debbie Doo-Dah.
Doo-Doo.
Abby Debbie Doo-Dah. Yeah. Although they seem to be friends this week. I thought that Debbie was going to be a bit more of an antagonist in this storyline.
Well, it seems
but
like
she's not.
You don't need to be an antagonist when Kevin's around.
Yeah. Did you give Peter a look? What's going on with Peter?
Dogs.
We also had a bit more of the Devstitute story. I've also got a little mini subtitle for this one. I think that if we call the story bits that are to do with Asher going out with Corey Amore. Corey Amore. That's quite good. We've got Tincognito and new character alert, Jabba.
Yeah.
The next shuttle launch happened this week. We've got a new Shuttleworth. Yeah,
Oh,
George
God.
Shuttleworth, the next shuttle launch, the character launch this
No.
week. Wednesday's episode, we saw him in one scene, just to whet our appetites about this new chap that maybe is going to be having a few scenes with Mary and others in future.
No, I don't think he'll be in it again.
So on the whole, like I said earlier in the podcast, I was perfectly happy with it being 6 episodes this week. I didn't mind it. I was quite interested or very, very interested in the Ollie stuff. I thought there were some fantastic scenes, lots of great performances and everything. I did think, however, that a lot of the other stories, it felt a bit too... everything felt very intense, life or death sort of stuff this week, apart from, maybe I'd have to say, the Allahan storyline. And I did really, really enjoy the Allahan stuff. Partly because I like the characters involved, but also partly because it felt a bit more grounded. Because I know that, everybody goes through these issues in life and everything, but you had, on the one hand, you had we've got to turn the life support of our 3-year-old kid off. That seems pretty intense. Then we had my house was about to fall into a massive pit into the gates of hell. Yeah, that's a bit intense. Paul angsting all over the place this week because he's just found out that his stepdad /
Boyfriend.
ex-paedophile boyfriend has just been found dead in a canal. Then you get Abby, who's about to get hooked on Class A drugs again. So it felt like that they were all big issues and a bit too much to take this week. I thought that it could have been done with a little bit more relatable, down-to-earth stuff to counterbalance the Ollie story, which on its own was enough drama for this week, I thought. Did you get that, or was it just me?
Maybe they're just trying to get all of the drama out now, and then the rest of the year can just be happy stuff.
I mean, it's not like I want Corey to be, plodding along with the boring stories, and I know that in back in the past, or back in the Kate Oates days, I was sort of all for the sensationalist, dark, but it just felt that everybody was either really angry this week or really super upset and harrowing this week, or they were in some kind of life or death situation or dire financial straits. And I found it difficult to relate. That's what I thought. Anyway, can I do the Toya Battersby story?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I promise I'll be super, super sensitive to this.
I had a
Or
dream
maybe not.
that I watched Friday's episode.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Dr. Schmitz turned up, and he was monochrome. He was just all grey, and he was going, "Well, it seems as though you have lied to me, Leanne." And she's like, "Oh no."
Great.
And then I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I saw that episode already." And I was like, "No, they probably had a bit better script than that."
Did today's episode, live up to your high expectations played out in your dream, or did it even surpass them?
I think
Disappointed that we didn't get to see the hair doctor.
Yeah, really sad.
Well, maybe he'll come in a couple of weeks. He's very, very busy at the moment, he says. So, Monday.
He's very busy stealing cash off
Oh, yeah,
kids.
talking of massive storylines, I've even forgot that the other half of this is I've just discovered I've got a 9-year-old son, nearly 10-year-old son. Nobody can just have little dramas in this story, like this programme at the moment, honestly.
Well, what else could he have discovered? He's got a 9-year-old hamster that she got and told him it died, and she flushed it down the toilet, but secretly she's been letting it live in her house all this time, and took it to the vets, and he was there at the vets and saw her picking something up. She's like, "No, I'm just
Fluffy,
here.
is that you?
I'm just here to get some cheap shampoo because it's cheaper than buying my normal shampoo, and it makes my hair really glossy."
No, look, okay, let's see what happened first. So he starts off at the factory and he's doing a bit of knickers.
Nick does.
He's doing a bit of snooping on Natasha online, isn't he? He's going on her social media. He's looking pretty miserable because he overheard, very coincidentally last week in the children's ward, that he may well be the father of this kid. And we were wondering, like, is it actually his? Is there going to be some kind of misunderstanding? Is he going to think that it's his, but actually it's not? But
Well, Steve Super Sperm McDonald was there.
We did. He was in the running, wasn't he, last week, Steve? And he was, yeah.
They had that takeaway that time, and we all know what that means.
Exactly. But anyway, no, it's true. It's his son. Nick's down. Sarah comes in and sees that he's looking a bit miserable and thinks it's just because of Oliver, but obviously he's got these other things on his mind. And when Sarah leaves, he carries on tapping around on his computer, and then he has a "my son" moment where he clicks on a page and he sees young Sam with some nice long hair, and he probably thought, "Oh, I remember when you remember those curtains that I had in the late 90s? Cut from the same cloth." Leanne and Steve, meanwhile, at the hospital, hanging around. I don't think they leave all week, do they? I don't think we see any scenes of at least Trace.
They're only allowed
Leanne anywhere
to
else.
be in that set now.
Yes.
Because they've infected it, and so it's
Steve,
their set now.
Does Steve go somewhere else? I can't remember. Anyway, Leanne is determined that Oliver's coming home soon, despite very much everybody else
saying,
telling her, "No, you don't think nothing. You need to start preparing yourself for the worst, love." Also in this storyline, of course, we had the Toya and Imran adoption shenanigans on Monday.
It was a nicely Toya heavy week.
It was.
Well,
it was nice
it
to
wasn't
see
really Toya heavy. She was just in it.
Yeah, 3 scenes. That's a Toya heavy week, as far as we're concerned. So she's looking a bit frazzled on Monday's episode, isn't she? She's had a stressful day at the office, tapping away at her computer, doing who knows what.
She's Googling, what is my job? What Toya Battersby Underworld?
She's the creed of Underworld, isn't she? Anyway, the flats. Wouldn't it be funny to do some like have an office style documentary?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would be
at
really
the factory.
funny. Yeah, get on that, everybody.
Because in what is it? No, it's in the IT crowd. You never know what was it, Renham Industries? Is that what it's called? What they're making. That's the whole joke of it. And that they could have that at the factory as well. Nobody ever sees anyone actually sewing any knickers. Anyway, Toya's had a very busy day. She comes home, flats the tip. Imran's there just chilling. She's got her fostering chat today with some Karen, and they want to talk about Susie.
It's not just some Karen, that's actually her name.
So not only does Imran's dodgy past where his family tried to kidnap his sister and take her off to Pakistan get brought up, but they've also been doing a bit of snooping on the Battersby side of things and finding out that at one point she was going to take Eva's baby and pass it off as hers.
Own.
Imran says, "Look, don't worry, just tell Karen what's in your heart." Meanwhile, back at the hospital, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of our lovely ginger doctor at the hospital because we've decided that she's called Dr. Hospital, so that's what she's called, deal with it. She comes to tell Steve and Leanne that they're going to try and reduce Oliver's sedation on later on in the day, and they're going to try and extubate him. Meanwhile, Nick's phoning Natasha, who doesn't want to talk to him. She said all that she had to say to him 10 years ago, and Nick says, "Aha, you never told me you were pregnant with my son."
And she's like, oh no, he's discovered.
Yes, she got me, you rumbled me, you found my secret, Nick. I don't want to talk to you anymore. So then we have the toy with Karen scene, which I thought was a lovely scene. I thought Georgia Taylor did a fantastic job in this. I think that you might have been half in the kitchen, half in the house, saying, "Gemma, come out, come and look at this." But anyway, she basically, she's saying all the right things. She says that when the Susie incident happened, she was grieving. And Karen said, "Look, what was it? Karen, I think it was Karen." She says, what happens if you get attached to a foster child and then they have to move on because you can't keep them forever, you know? I don't want you going running off and snatching them." And she says, "Who do you think I am, Roy and Hayley?" No, she says, "Look, a few years ago, my want for a child became a need. It was all that I could live for. But I'm different now, honest."
I don't think I'd buy this.
We've got a new producer now. That was the Kate Oates me. Not Stuart. What were we now? Ian McLeod me. Just
is really more chill.
Yeah, she says, "I'm as complete as I'm gonna be." But I still quite like a kid.
I still quite like a kid, but I just want to borrow one.
She says, "Yeah, please. Having a child doesn't define me anymore." Yeah, so she does a lovely, lovely job, and Karen is left in no doubt thinking that she and Imran would be lovely candidates for foster parenting.
Karen goes, "Oh, I just looked on my notes and I did not actually realise you're in a soap. But I have double checked and it's not EastEnders, so we're happy to let you have the kid."
Apparently EastEnders was quite dark today, everybody. I don't really know what it was. It some sort of abuse thing?
Don't even talk about it if you don't know what it was.
I've got no idea. Anyway, so back at the hospital, Leanne and Steve are having a sad sing-along to "You Are My Sunshine," which did they say was Oliver's favourite song or something? Or what they used to...
I don't believe for 1 minute.
Sing to her. Yeah, Gemma used to sing that to me a little bit, didn't you?
Well, that's one of my favourite songs. I just don't believe that a kid knows what that's. So doesn't he like the theme tune to, like, I don't know, Blues Clues or something? Does that have a theme tune? I don't know.
We're gonna play some Blues Clues.
Is that what it goes like?
I don't know. I remember watching it a long time ago. I don't know.
You've also missed out this whole bit about Nick and Natasha.
Oh yeah, Natasha she shows up at Nick's flat, doesn't she?
Comes in.
Oh no, sorry. Oh, the postman let me in. The delivery man let me in.
Well, the postman should know that there's a pandemic on.
Yeah.
Don't be letting random birds in people's flats during a pandemic, mate. That's how we get a lockdown in the northeast.
Exactly. Well, this is the northwest, so it's
Northwest.
okay. Anyway, I liked how she still had a bit of an edge to her, didn't she? She was still a bit snarky. One of her first lines is, "Oh, you're still living here. You're still tangled up in your mum's apron strings." She tries to deny that this kid of hers is Nick's, and at first I believed her. She says, "Oh, it's some guy called Andy. We're still together. We got together, yes, it was like 10 years ago, and we've been
don't know where
happily
he is.
together
He disappeared down a basement, and I haven't seen him since."
Not that Andy.
He said he'd be back.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a twist, wouldn't
It's
it?
Andy's child.
Oh, anyway, Nick says, "Look, I've been doing my research online. You need to watch out. You need to get your security setting sorted out, love. There's no such person as Andy. That kid is mine." So, and Natasha says, "Yeah, go on then. You got me, Nick. He is your son, but that's where your contribution ended. You have nothing to do with him, and we've been perfectly fine without you. Thank you very much." He tells her about Ollie, and he says, "Look, I want to be part of Sam's life, but now's not a very good time.
I've got another kid on the go, but there will be an opening for a new son very soon."
Yeah. So just prepare him for his audition, and
I'll see what I think of him.
I was going to say give me about 3 months, but it seems like this storyline's accelerating quite quickly. So who knows? He needs to be ready on the end of a phone call.
Also, do you have a spare $1 million quid?
£500,000 would be lovely, please. Anyway, Natasha's not particularly happy with this arrangement, but she agrees. She says, "Look, whatever you do, just don't, spring up on him, and don't be a half-hearted dad. You need to commit to him fully or not at all." Back at the hospital, Steve, what?
What the hell? I can't even remember. Did Nick do that's so terrible that Natasha's decided that he's not allowed to be part of her son's life and is not even allowed to know?
I can't remember.
I think it was just because they wanted a surprise soap baby.
Probably listened to last week's podcast, we probably said. Anyway.
Dr. Hospital.
Oh, Dr. Hospital, she's telling Steve and Leanne that they've had to up the sedation again. They tried to extubate Oliver, but he just started seizing again. Basically, he's going to have constant massive seizures without sedation, and they won't stop. So this is like...
No, sorry, yeah.
This was awful, listening to this.
Life support is the only thing keeping him alive, and
yeah.
Leanne's like, well, he can stay on life support forever, and the doctor's like, no, it doesn't work like that.
No, not quite. So, oh, God, I hated this bloody thing.
This was bad.
You know when people take driving tests in Coronation Street? You know, every single bloody time that someone takes a driving test on Coronation Street.
Oh, I'm really sad because I passed my test!
Toya, you disappointed me, love. You could have been a bit more original than this. Also,
what's bad
about it is it's super insensitive. At least when it's you saying, "Oh, I didn't pass my driving test," it's like, "Oh well, better luck next time."
Only inconveniences you. I don't care if you pass the
Imran comes home to see how Toya got on with Karen, and she does it. She's literally lets Imran believe, not for very long, mind, but for 5-10 seconds or so. Yeah, this foster kid that's been your lifelong dream for the past couple of months. Sorry. It's out. It's out the window. Yeah.
Got shot in the head.
Karen brought a kid along with her to the meeting, and I ran away with her. No, really, we're the best damn potential foster parents that woman has ever seen. And if we haven't got a kid in our arms in the next 5 minutes, I'll be surprised.
I am absolutely shocked. The state of fostering in Manchester must be absolutely dire. If Toya and Imran are the two best candidates that they've got, they don't have their own house, right? And one of them tried to kidnap someone else's baby with with the person's permission, but still. And the other one was involved in the kidnap plot of a grown woman.
I'm sure
even though he tried to stop it, he was still around.
I'm sure lots of parents have had moments where their kids driven them up the wall and they're just like saying, "Look, mate, look, brother or sister,
no,
take my kid, please."
No,
that's fine.
No.
Anyway, they're going to be foster parents. Everybody, hurrah! Maybe, I don't know. Back at the hospital next...
Then Leanne phones up and says...
Oh, yeah, she kills the mood, doesn't she?
Oh, it's really sad. Ollie's really ill. And Toya's like, this is one of those fake outs. He's fine, isn't he? And she's like, no.
That's your karma, Toya.
No, I would never joke about something to do with children.
Yeah, she's stressing out, Leanne. She's looking for answers at the hospital. She cannot believe that she's just not listening. She's been like this all the way. She's been in complete denial. She doesn't
seem to really understand what is wrong with Oliver, because if she did, she would get straight away.
She doesn't want to know. It's perfect. I think it's perfectly understandable. As a viewer, it's a little bit annoying. Like, come on, Leanne.
It's not annoying. It's frustrating.
Frustrating. That's the better word.
You can totally understand, but it's also like, you need to understand this. You need to stop. You need to stop saying that he's going to be fine. And somebody needs to just take her and shake her a bit and go, Leanne, wake the hell up.
Well, Nick tries, doesn't he? And she's like, excuse me for being confrontational. Will they try and kill my son?
Yeah.
She's like full-on narky not Michelle.
She's turning
oh my God, I compared her to Michelle. Michelle and Leanne were always, two halves of the same coin, weren't they? I mean, they've both driven us up the wall with their cow-baggishness. But we've come through it with Leanne. But yeah, and she's got.
You can totally understand why she thinks that.
And of course, Michelle, she's not been the most successful when in terms to parenting as well. Lest we forget Rory. We're not allowed to forget Rory.
No, Michael, what are you saying?
No, I'm just saying.
Not successful.
No,
Michael, that's the wrong word to use.
Oh.
That's a really bad word to use.
What should
Michael.
I say?
You just say sorry and move on.
Tracy shows up at the hospital at the end of the episode. Steve says, look, we're going to try and get a second opinion on this, Leanne says. And what Leanne says goes at the moment. Meanwhile, Leanne...
Who died to make Leanne in charge? Ollie's not dead yet.
Meanwhile, Leanne's telling Nick that they'll see as many doctors as they need to and pay as much as they can until they can find someone who can help them.
And everyone else is like, yeah, that sounds really good in abstract. And then when they finally get the bill, they're like, actually, no.
But at least it only takes one attempt to find another doctor that will do it. It's like, we're going to search till the end of time until we find somebody. Oh, here's somebody. Thanks, Nick.
Hello, please give me £500,000.
He's probably got a sponsored ad on Voggle, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So
Dr. Fix-It Schmitz.
Nick is rushing off to the hospital on beginning of Wednesday's episode. He's dropping his papers all over the place because he has
He
found
was fumbling all over the
Dr.
place.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
Dr. Schmitz. And Leanne's still at the hospital. She says I can't take this all in. Oliver doesn't even look sick. I think that's that's the problem as well. He's just lying there looking asleep, isn't he? But it's all inside him. That's where it's all going to pot.
I mean, what
basically.
does she want the doctors to do? Cut him up a bit?
Put some plasters on him, maybe. Put a bandage around his head.
Daisy plaster on him.
Yeah. Anyway, we find that Dr. Second Opinion is coming to assess Oliver, which I found very hilarious on Wednesday because we got to hear all about this other person who's travelled down from the specialist unit, but we don't get to see them at all.
No, doctor's like, it's not even worth me coming into the room to tell you that everything Dr. Hospital told you is correct.
They should have just got Gaddis to give the second opinion, considering that she was in it this week. Praise be. Leanne is blissfully, ignorantly optimistic that Dr. Second Opinion might think differently and just say, no, it's just got a bad cough.
Does she think like the Dr. Second Opinion will come in and go, Dr. Hospital, who let you out of the loony bin? Yeah. You're not even a real doctor. Dr. Hospital, that's a ridiculous name for a doctor. How stupid for anyone to even believe you're a real doctor. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, Leanne. Actually, Oliver's fine. He's just been asleep this whole time.
Just needs a couple of spoonfuls of Calpol and yeah.
And a
be
nice
right as rain.
cup of hot chocolate.
Well, that's literally, we joke, but that's what Leanne, I think that's what she kind of thinks is going to happen, doesn't she? She just won't believe what, the initial diagnosis says.
It's somebody saying there's a chance.
Yeah, which is what Dr. Schmidt says later.
Yeah.
With the wrong information. So Nick comes along to the hospital and gives Leanne all the printouts about this hospital that he's found in Germany, and it's an experiment. It was a trial or something, wasn't it? Experimental trial thing.
Yeah.
But it's worth a shot, Leanne thinks. Well, no, actually, Leanne doesn't think it's worth a shot. She thinks, yes, this is the solution that we've been looking for. This will definitely work. She rushes off to tell Steve. And then we get to see a scene later on where she's with this other woman whose son's got a new heart. He's been off to see the wizard or something. And his operation's this afternoon. Leanne wishes her well, but then gives a sad face. I just felt that there's a little bit too much this week of... Leanne's going through all this tragedy, and for everybody else around her, everything's hunky-dory.
Well, what, apart from Steve and Nick?
Well, yeah, you know, everything's going badly for them, but, you know, Toya and Imran have got a foster kid on the way, possibly. This woman's son's getting a new heart.
David's got a really nice place to put a pool in his back garden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, where was I? I'm lost in my notes. She said, we have, she's on the phone to Das Krankenhaus later, and it seems that Dr. Schmidt is willing to take on their case. So, Dr. Hospital, I really should have put the names of these actual doctors. Dr. Hospital says that Dr. Second Opinions has investigated Oliver and he's ready to speak to them. So then,
but you're not allowed to actually.
You're not allowed to speak to Dr. Second Opinion.
He's like God. You can't look on his countenance because you cannot comprehend.
Yeah,
this
is a
being.
Really important person.
This doctor
Leanne,
is the supreme being.
Even Leanne is not worthy to breathe the same air as Dr. Second Opinion. So they have to have a little chat with Hospital, and she says, "Look, you're about to be told that Oliver's condition is causing irreversible damage to his brain. He needs a very powerful sedative. He's never going to be able to breathe unaided. We need to discuss turning off his life support."
But actually, we'll turn it off, but Dr. Second Opinion wants to tell you that he's going to be fine. So you probably want to talk to them first.
This is, at least it wasn't Toya telling them this, wasn't it? Like she would have done a fake out.
No. Right,
I've got to tell you that. He's going to be fine.
Leanne is not taking this well.
No, she's like, oh, you've given up on him, have you?
Yeah, she gets really mad.
Yeah, she's told about... The doctor paints this horrific picture about just... It's not just that Ollie's going to...
He's not just nicely sleeping with a tube in his mouth.
No, he's going to have liver failure. There was something about his guts, I think, that they said.
Because you're being fed through a tube, and so it's not very good for your body.
Basically, she's told in no uncertain terms that his quality of life is that there is no quality of life for him. Things are going to get worse for him, even if he's under this sedation. Yes, he is going to be alive, but his body is just
going to deteriorate.
Rapidly.
Like, I don't care because I've found another doctor.
Yes. And the doctor says, look, I know she's calm. She understands. She probably hears this sort of thing all the time, doesn't she? The amount of bad news that she has to give.
I know. I hope she doesn't very often hear people going, "Don't kill my son. I'm going to go to Germany."
She says, there's really nothing that we can do. So Leanne and Steve go out the office and says, look, no, we can do this. We need to stay strong for Ollie. I believe in Dr. Schmitz. And then we get a scene with her and Nick. There's a couple of scenes this time where Nick's got his secret. He's being very broody, and Leanne's saying, "Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you for finding this German doctor. What would I do without you?" And Nick's like going, "Oh, is this the time? Can I? She's in a good mood with me at the moment. Maybe now do I drop the news that I've got a secret son? Oh, maybe not. No. Maybe I'll leave it till next time."
Now you've written the next sentence in German for some reason.
She has a phone call with Dr. Schmitz, doesn't she? She's holding the phone out, and she could be a candidate for the treatment in Germany. She's underplayed Ollie's symptoms somewhat, hasn't she? He asked about the frequency of the seizures, and we know it to this point. It started off. Yeah, it is. It's permanent now. It started off every so often, but it's got worse and worse and worse, and now he just won't stop.
How many seizures is he having? And she's like, "Oh, he's hardly had any. He's hardly even got mitochondrial disease. You wouldn't even know. He's actually really fine. I'll just put him on the phone. Hi, my name's Oliver. I'm completely fine. But I really need some treatment. Dr. Smith, can you help me?" Shush, Ollie, I'm on the phone to the doctor. Sorry about that. He's so lively. Anyway,
tut mir leid, Herr Doctor.
Can you help me? And he's like, "Oh, sounds like it'd be an easy job. £500,000, please." Anyway, he's like, I can't. I'll sort this out. Yeah, I'll let you know how much it will be. And she's like, "It doesn't matter. Money is no object."
Yeah, Steve's there saying how much, and Leanne's like, "Steve, doesn't matter.
Don't even ask.
Put a price on our son." We have got another Nick and Natasha scene at the end of the episode. She comes over to the flat again. I don't know how she got in this time, shimmied up the drain pipe or something. She's told about the tragic developments with Ollie that we're being incredibly irreverent about.
Yep.
And he says that, look, honestly, I cannot start a relationship with Sam at the moment. I really, really want to, but I just can't. I've got too much on my plate. Sorry. And she understands. And she gives him some drawing of some rockets as compensation or something.
She didn't draw it herself. No, Sam drew it.
Sam drew some rockets.
She's like, "Here you go, Nick. I drew you a picture."
She gives him some rockets.
She says, "Here you go, Nick. Here's a pregnancy test to put at the top of the bin."
I wonder whether somebody's going to find this drawing of the rockets. Exactly my point. Yes. And he's going to have to come up with some strange excuse for it.
I just love drawing rockets in the style of a child. Leanna drew you a picture. So Sam on this.
It stands for
Doctor is Schmidt.
Schmidt.
It's how you say Schmidt in German.
Anyway, Steve and Leanne end the episode arguing because of Steve wanting to know the cost, and then
Can you imagine taking Leanne out for a date? For dinner, and she's like, "Don't want to look at the menu. I just want the most expensive thing, and I don't care how much it costs."
I can imagine that. And then they find out because Schmitz phones up, or the secretary phones up, and it's $1 million, $500,000. That's a lot of money. It might as well be a million. It might as well just say a gazillion pounds. To be honest,
$1 trillion.
You made a good point after we watched this that if it had been £20,000, let's say, or 50 even, it could have been maybe somehow they'll have one of the curry windfalls, or they'll have a little whip round at the Rovers, or I don't know, somehow, or they'll remortgage their house, so that they'll be able to sponsored silence. They'll be able to get this much money.
People have managed to get really stupidly large amounts of money at very short notice by just randomly stumbling across bags of money on the floor in this show. But £500,000 is a magnitude beyond anything I can imagine.
Yes.
But they don't seem to be too fazed by it. Like, Tracy on Friday's episode was like, "Oh, we can get £500,000, but it's really whether or not it's worth giving it to a kid."
Yeah, think of all the shoes and bags and cat print tops that I could buy with that, Steve.
She's like, "I buy these from Next so I can save money up for other cat tops. But I could have bought a really good cat top from Prada or something with that £500,000.
And kept it for longer than Ollie has potentially got left.
That's mean.
Friday, Steve... Oh, yeah, we get an early morning hospital scene where Leanne's asleep next to Oliver's bed, and we see that she's getting a text message from Steve saying, how's tricks?
How's tricks, kid?
And yeah.
There were a few scenes of Oliver, weren't there, this week?
Yes, we did get to see some Ollie shots.
I'm sure one of them was a balloon with hair on it in a bed.
The scene... Well, we'll see when we get there later. There was a scene where Leanne was there stroking Ollie's head, and it's like, Ollie's definitely not there, but you can see the hair. I was
watching
love
that going,
to know what Jane Danson was acting opposite.
It just makes me think even more than already was what a fantastic actress Jane Danson is. Unless, of course, the picture they had like a balloon with hair on it, but they put a picture on it of like a dead puppy or something and made her cry.
maybe it was, but we saw a few proper Ollie shots, didn't we? But they'd always said that they had a few stock. I keep saying that some
the previous
pictures of him with tubes and everything. So I think we saw some of those today. Anyway, Tracy finds out about how much this the German doctor coming over is going to cost. Emma's also there. I just want to
say something else as well, right?
Go for it.
This £500,000 is for some unspecified treatment, and we don't know what else this includes, and we don't know. Like, is this the cost of them coming over here? Is it the cost of sending Oliver to Germany?
It's the duty free that Dr. Schmidt
like,
wants to pick up
whenever
at the airport.
I come into England, I have to buy a really big Toblerone.
Yeah.
So add that onto the bill. Anyway, so they've got that, and then they've got. So if say they have to take Ollie to Germany, which I think would be the case, because I can't imagine that they can treat him in the UK. Because if they could offer it already. Well, it's a German doctor, so he presumably has a treatment in Germany.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be a German doctor in England, wouldn't he?
Why can't he bring it over? It depends what it is.
I think I would imagine it's some kind of gene therapy or something. But anyway, I'm imagining they have to go to Germany. If they do, that £500,000 doesn't include air flights and hotel bills and food and everything, and not having a job for whoever goes over there to be with Ollie, which is Leanne and whoever else she can guilt trip into going with her.
Yeah. So
this £500,000 is just a meaningless amount.
It basically is, yeah. Anyway, it's all right. It doesn't matter because
they're not. At the end of the day, they're not going to go, oh, it came under £500,000. It's actually only 450,000. It's always going to be more than they say. It's like when you take your car in.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But it doesn't matter because however much it costs, Emma is going to raise it with a sponsored something because she's dead good at fundraising, we learned today.
When she said this, I kind of felt like she didn't actually hear what they said.
I know.
Because
it was a case of Emma being a bit stupider than she actually is.
Yeah, if somebody said to me, I need to raise £500,000 or my son's going to die, I wouldn't go, don't worry, I'll do a sponsored silence. I'd go, holy crap, that's terrible, your son's going to die.
I mean, it's sweet that she wants to do something, because when you're in a situation like this, you feel that I want to do anything that I can to help.
But it's a bit like, you know...
It's a drop in the ocean, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Emma goes off to work at the pub, and Steve admits to Tracy that the German doctors don't exactly have the full picture about the severity of Oliver's condition. And Tracy's like, look, you've got to tell Leanne, to be honest. It seems like she's the one calling all the shots at the moment, but you're his dad too. You need to tell the truth.
But also Tracy is coming at this from a completely... I mean, obviously, she obviously cares, and anybody who's in that situation, whether or not you were close to a child who saw a sick child, would feel sad and motivated to do something. But she's not clouded by emotion in the same way that Steve and Leanne both are, and she can look at this and go, right, so doctor's told you with fake information that he can save this kid's life for £500,000 and you're just going along with it. No, you've got to actually make sure, because for all they know, if he found out what Leanne was saying was wrong, it could be like, well, it will cost £2 million then, you know?
Yeah,
they don't even know.
Exactly. So Steve, that's Steve thinking. We get a little scene with Toya and Leanne at the hospital later, don't we? Which is basically Leanne saying Nick's struggling in silence through all this. So then over at work, Toya takes a bit more time out from her busy schedule to go to Nick and say, look, you need to communicate with Leanne, talk to her. It looks like you're coping with this badly, or you're bottling something in. You need to be open and honest with each other.
Well, she comes in and she does that classic soap thing of like, Leanne knows everything. And Nick's like, what? Like, Leanne knows your secret.
Oh, yeah, she does, doesn't she?
Leanne knows you're struggling with your emotions. He's like, oh, thank God for that.
I thought you knew about my son. Yeah, no, Toya does a bit of a counselling shtick, and then she goes for Nick to then confess all to Sarah Lou.
I was shocked by this.
So was I. I thought that he was going to keep this a secret.
So Toya goes, Nick, you must tell Leanne all your secrets. And Nick goes, Sarah, psst, psst, come here. Guess what? I've got another kid.
You're an auntie. So Sarah's like, she can't believe that that Nick is keeping this quiet, really, or she believes that Nick needs to be a part of.
Well, she says you can't
his
just
son's
not
life.
Be part of his life. You'll regret every minute you don't spend with him.
Yeah, basically. She says, I think she said that. I don't know whether she was talking about Leanne or Gail. She said someone's going to be cross when they find out. It's probably Leanne,
Coronation
isn't it?
Street. It teaches us one thing. So if you try to keep a secret from somebody, not only will they find out, but they'll be mad at you for not telling them.
Yeah,
so you might as well just.
She's like, come on, mate. You've been in this show since what?
How long have you been in this show for?
1980, yeah, New Year 1980, wasn't it? You should know by now not to keep a secret.
Yeah.
But so Emma, we get back to her. She's going to have a sponsored dance. She's decided in the Rover, so she's doing a little practice there in front
Smashing
of
glasses.
Jenny. When stop everything, who walks in through those Rover's doors? But Dr. Susan Gaddis.
Wearing a mask.
Wearing a mask. Yeah, she does take us off at the hospital later, but I'm sure she knows what she's doing. She's a doctor.
She's like, I don't have it. It's not. It's all a hoax.
Doctors can't have coronavirus, can they? We stop coronavirus. So she comes in and has a sit down because she's going to have a hot pot or something.
Pandemic, more like plandemic, am I right?
She's soon followed by Tracy, who says, I thought that was you.
I thought that was you.
What?
I thought I saw you.
Yeah.
The doctor, the only other person who's around the street at the moment.
Well, exactly. They can't just go and ask Ali at the moment, can he?
No.
Because he's in jail. So
yeah.
Tracy tells Gaddis that they're thinking of the hospital are considering switching off Oliver's life support, and Gaddis is like, look, they would not have said that unless they mean it.
Well, she basically says,
they wouldn't have just kind of floated the idea. Like, we've got a lot of options here, but what one of them is if we turn off the life support? What do you think about that? We could try treating him, but what about this one? She's like, no. Nobody's gonna say this unless it's serious.
It's like, imagine if you went in and you had two kids and one was Ollie and the other one was like, say, Jack. And the doctor's like, well, we're really sorry. We're going to have to turn off the life support on Ollie. And while we're there, should we just get rid of the other one as well? Because then you could be free.
Yeah.
we're really into killing children.
One of the things that Gaddis said was like, oh, lots of the doctors are parents, so
they wouldn't just give up on a child.
No, exactly. As if
all the
somebody who wasn't a parent, who's maybe a bit too busy as being a doctor to be a kid, to have a kid.
As if there's a doctor walking through like the children's ward going, I don't know why you bother.
Yeah,
honestly.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I don't have my own. I don't understand.
Yeah. Anyway, Tracy is left in no doubt that this suggestion of turning off the life support is the last resort.
Dr. Gaddis is like, they don't generally tend to do this.
Yeah.
With people who are going to be okay.
Oh, I love Dr. Gaddis. There's no.
I just genuinely think she's a doctor,
level, isn't she?
She just feels like a real doctor.
There's no extra drama in her life.
And she had such a lovely
voice. Or if there is,
voice.
we don't see it on screen.
No, she keeps it to herself.
She does.
But she's got such a lovely voice and the way she speaks.
I know. I want her to be my doctor.
She could turn off my life support any day.
What's going on next? I've lost. I've scrolled up my notes.
Leanne is in the...
Oh, yeah. This is when Leanne's in the room with Ollie and Steve, I think. And she's there looking at Oliver in the bed.
Talking about what's he dreaming about.
A T-Rex stealing his ice cream or something, wasn't it? And she tells Steve that we really, really do need to go through with this German treatment. Look at our son. He's worth fighting for, basically, and spending for.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it was your kid, it wouldn't matter, would it? It wouldn't matter.
I know. Emma's thinking of doing a sponsored silence, which she's failing
doesn't,
spectacularly at. Nick shows up at the hospital, then Dr. Gaddis, who just wants to come
Dr.
and have a...
Gaddis is like, hey, guess what? Tracy said your kid's gonna die.
I didn't know there was a medical story going on. Nobody tells me anything round
Leanne
here.
says-
How can I help?
And Leanne says, what do you mean she said that? Oh, who does she think she is going around saying things that are true about my kid?
Yeah, Gaddis...
And then she goes, oh, maybe I misunderstood what she said and she must have been talking about something else. Maybe she was talking about EastEnders. Anyway, I'm going.
Sorry. Yeah, she comes in and puts her foot in it unwittingly and then goes out again.
She didn't even bother seeing the kid. She's like, well, I'll just take him off the register.
Gosh, yeah. Just go back to the medical centre. Moira! Leanne is livid that Tracy...
Leanne, yeah.
Leanne's mad because the way that Gaddis said it, or the way that Leanne interpreted it, because she's interpreting lots of things in not quite the right way at the moment. She's interpreting it as Tracy spouting her mouth off saying, oh, there's no hope for Ollie, which seems like it's basically true, but Leanne doesn't want Tracy... It seems
difficult.
like Tracy has given up. This
and Leanne's like,
kid.
Who are you to even have an opinion?
Yeah, so she has a massive go at Tracy when she turns up, and Tracy's like, no, I didn't say that. Because
I didn't say that, and also it's not just you that's involved in this. Steve is worried as well, and he thinks that you've not said the right thing.
I don't think that Tracy did anything wrong mentioning it to Dr. Gaddis,
well,
honestly. She wanted to try and find out
say.
more, just the same as Steve wants to find out more when he's doing his Vogelin.
How come Leanne's allowed to talk to Dr. Second Opinion, but Tracy's not allowed to talk to Dr. Gaddis?
Yeah, at least Dr. Gaddis has got a face.
Yeah.
So Leanne drops off. Leanne tells Tracy, I think we decided we think Ollie probably should go on this trial. And Tracy says, look, is this better for Oliver or better for you? Wise words.
It was, I can understand.
That sounds like a wise thing that might come out of Nina's lips.
No, I don't think. The thing is about this, I totally understand what she's saying, but as of yet, there's been no indication that anything to do with this trial is going to be painful or uncomfortable or traumatic for Ollie. We don't know.
We don't know the nature
but I don't
of it,
understand why she's assuming that it would be, and why she's acting like. Honestly, I was with her up until this point, but the way she's talking about Ollie now, it makes it sound like she's talking about a cat. You know, like, just put him down. He's suffering now. He's too old. Put him down. You're only prolonging his agony. This is what you would say about an animal. Like, are you keeping the animal alive because it makes you feel better that they're alive? And are they actually suffering? And is it time to say goodbye now? That's not what you say about someone's kid. It's what you say about someone's dog, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
I know, but I thought she just crossed the line a little bit here, because it's not. But I do understand. But I just think that the logic of the story jumped forward about 5 paces into a different thing that we hadn't established yet. We haven't established what the trial is or what it would do. So Tracy had no reason to say this to Steve.
I think I was a bit confused for part of this about the what the trial was actually trying to do. Was it trying to cure him, or was it trying to give him an extra, 3, 6, 12 months or
I don't know.
Whatever?
I don't know. If it's gene therapy, which I can only assume it would be, I don't know anything about how that would apply to mitochondrial disease.
No, Leanne seems to think that, it's a magic wand, basically, doesn't she? And he's going to be completely better. I think that's what she thinks.
I think she thinks, but I'm just thinking they'll go, we can keep him alive. We can stop him seizing, but he'll be unconscious. Because the thing is, he might have already had some kind of brain damage or something from the seizures. I don't know how this works.
Yeah, no, I don't know. So Steve goes and finds Leanne and says, look, we need to make sure that any treatments that we put Ollie through, any trials or whatever, is worth, is worth putting him through, prolonging his agony or whatever. And Steve...
Well, she's like, you need to tell him the truth, because it could just be like it's not going to work.
Yeah, and Leanne doesn't want to, but
she's like, if we have to lie to get him treatment, then we should do it. And he's like, no, it doesn't work like that. But also like the way that everyone's assuming, right, that Dr. Schmidt would turn up at the hospital, and then Dr. Ward and Dr. Hospital would come out and go, here's the notes, doctor. And he'd go, I don't need the notes. I've spoken to the mother.
Yeah.
I know everything there is to know.
That is true. Do you think we're going to actually see Dr. Ward again?
No,
'Cause
Dr. Ward's...
I think Dr. Ward was on a certain a contract back in March or February, whenever it was filmed.
Now she's off doing
now
something
she's
else.
off doing being an extra in something else, or maybe even a main role in something else, which is why she's been hastily replaced. So yeah, Leanne calls up Dr. Schmitz, who says,
Oh, it doesn't even matter. I don't care about that.
yeah, she tells him the truth, doesn't she? She says, yeah, I maybe underplayed
lied,
the amount
yeah.
of seizures. And he says, oh, it doesn't matter about how many seizures. There's still a chance I could hope.
I just want the £500,000, to be perfectly honest with you. I will do anything for money.
Yeah, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
I will do and say anything.
That'd be a twist. Is Dr.
Schmidt
Schmitz
is just a snake oil
I mean,
salesman.
it does sound a bit like a
made-up name.
name, doesn't it? Yeah.
It is the most English sounding German name. Like, oh yeah,
Well,
my name is Dr. Smith, but
It is. It's the German
because
version
there
of Smith.
are a lot more complicated German surnames that you wouldn't even begin to be able to pronounce if you weren't German. And it's just very convenient that this doctor's got quite an easy name.
That would be a great twist, but I don't think this particular storyline needs anything like that. Well, I mean,
Can you
it's
imagine
already
the
got a son
outrage?
coming out of the woodwork.
It'd be outrage if they had.
Fake doctors.
They already had that though, didn't they? With basically what happened with Sinead.
What? Fake doctors?
Well, yeah, just take these vitamins and you won't die.
Yeah.
Drink a smoothie.
Kale smoothies.
Yeah.
Oh, never forget. Anyway, Steve is now relieved that they're not lying anymore.
Honestly, at this point, if I was Steve, I would be like, okay, now that the only problem left is where the hell are we going to get this money from?
£500,000, which is what he tells Tracy towards the end of the episode. And there was a final scene of Leanne once again thanking Nick for being so lovely and understanding.
No, she didn't even say that. She said, Nick, thank you so much for keeping information from me that would have made me sad. And Nick goes, you're welcome. I will keep it up. Doesn't she?
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nick's like, this is all I needed to know. How convenient for me.
So.
Right,
What were our opinions on this? We've already given some.
We're being very flippant.
I'm being
Again,
completely flippant.
We have to give a... We have
to
to give a disclaimer. Like, you should have realised that we're flippant people, but it's too sad to talk about it without making
it's horrible.
Few light-hearted comments.
It's horrible. I still stand by the fact that I'm glad that Coronation Street's being brave and killing off Ollie.
He's going to be fine.
Shut up, Leanne. This is by far what's the story that's gripping me the most this week. I know I said that the Alahan stuff is good, but I'm not going to grip by that. Every time that the story deviates away from this, I'm a little bit disappointed. I think that all of the main players in it are doing a fantastic job.
Oh, God, Jane Danson is just amazing. I mean, we've been like... The domestic abuse storyline gave Shelley King a chance to shine, and this is giving Jane Danson a chance to shine.
After a while out of the spotlight, wasn't it? Because she always used to be there up in the nominations for Best Actress.
Name.
She is going to be there next year, isn't she?
Yeah.
If she doesn't get nominated for Best Actress in next year's British Soap Awards, there's something going on here. But she's doing a really, really fantastic job.
She's so
everyone is, but
good.
she's clearly the I don't say the best, that she's
the focus is on her, so she's got more opportunity.
Yeah, but I think that the script writers and producers, or whoever makes the decision about it, were right to focus it on her. I had been feeling
good job that she's Ollie's mum, otherwise it would have been really weird.
I had felt that Steve was being sidelined a little bit, but he did have a few.
It really feels weird to
didn't
me
he?
that Steve is just like acting like, I'm just the sperm donor. I'm not really involved in this. I am a bit sad, obviously, because I was hoping he'd grow up and I could play football with him. But he's giving an impression like, I'm glum. I'm really glum. It's not like shattered or sad.
Look,
but
I'm just glad that he's not doing
lines.
comedy gurns. When I was worried that
£500,000.
I thought there was a chance, there was a huge risk that Simon would play it like that.
No, why would you?
No, you would. No,
you're mad. What are you talking about?
Because sometimes when a character is a buffoon for so long, you just can't help it, because that is what your character is. But I think that he is pulling it out of the bag. Simon Gregson.
He hasn't been
he
given.
has got it in him to
Yeah.
do a great job, and just watching him in the late 90s in the classic episode shows that he is a quality actor.
But he hasn't been given material to do as much as Jane Danson has been given, and we can't have them. It's really much easier for a viewer to focus on one person, and we can't have both her and Steve just being sad and crying. You know, you want somebody to be a bit more in focus, and obviously the mother is an easier character to empathise with, because
I'm just, what's surprising me about this story is just how quickly it's happening. And I can't remember whether we said this on the podcast last week. I suppose it was Monday when it really, accelerated just how bad this is. When they're taken into the office and they're told straight exactly how bad it is, even if they keep him alive, how bad it will be.
It's always really surreal when you get taken into the office and the doctor's saying, like, there's no chance this person will die, and you're like, this is what happened. Like, this isn't real. This can't be real. I can't believe that you, like, I remember feeling this before. You can't tell me there's nothing you can do. That's crazy. But they're right there and they're fine. How can you say that especially, you just think there must be something you haven't tried.
Yeah, I
and you feel surreal. It feels surreal. Like you're not there.
With Leanne, as difficult as it can be, and sometimes I'm watching it going, calm down, love, but
I don't.
I've
never
reacted
like that. I don't know how many people react like that. Obviously, some people do, and also for the purposes of the story, she has to. To
some
create
people
conflict.
would just close in on themselves, wouldn't they? But I do. It does feel a little bit. Like I said earlier, they seem to be laying the misery on a bit too thick, and that "You Are My Sunshine" was a little bit schmaltzy, and it's also making me think it feels a bit too soon after the Sinead storyline to go through this. It was this time last year, roughly, give or take, that Sinead was being told, your cancer's aggressive, it's spread, you've only got 3 months to live, I can't remember, whatever. And
we said this time and time again about Coronation Street that they rely far too heavily on medical storylines to create drama, and they didn't need to do any for decades of the show. There wasn't any terminal illnesses and people going in hospitals and stuff for a prolonged period of time and watching somebody slowly die. We didn't need to have stories like that, and in the last 5 years or so, it feels like every year they're like, right, who wants cancer this year?
It is. It's not just you got a bunion or something, is it? It's something
really degenerative and nasty
and rare.
Yeah,
and
we're going to raise awareness for it.
Yeah, I mean, even earlier
they're going to have to check Weatherfield out. There must be some kind of pylon there that's giving off radiation.
I did hear that. Didn't you see on the front of that Weatherfield recorder 5G trials starting in Weatherfield this year?
Get Dr. Gaddis on that.
But they also had Bertie in hospital earlier this year as well, didn't they? When he had his chicken pox, and it's just everything feels life or death, and you don't just go for hospital for life or death situations, but I mean,
but it does make a bit of a difference from previous times when they go, Sophie, you'll never walk again. Oh, there she goes. She's gone to the toilet. She's just walking off.
That is
Come
true.
Back.
We used to make fun of
Come
Coronation.
Back. You'll never walk again. I told you.
We used to make fun of Coronation Street for people going into hospital all the time, being told that.
Even Sinead
you'll never walk again.
Like wheeling around in a wheelchair at one point because they said she wouldn't walk because she had that car crash. And then Sophie had the same thing. She got run over.
But and
Jack's leg fell off.
What you said about Ollie not seeming to look sick is also a parallel to the Sinead story as well, because she was feeling and looking kind of fine when she was told
kind of
that,
fine, was she?
when she was given the bad news as well.
Yeah.
It's after this story, let's give it a rest for a bit. But the thing is, I think in a way, Coronation Street, maybe MacLeod learned a lesson from the Sinead story and that is grief
People
porn
love it.
gets awards.
You get to go on Lorraine and talk about how sad it made you feel to learn that this happens to real people.
But I mean, I'm probably sounding very contradictory in myself, kind of moaning that it's a bit like that, but still saying it's the story that's keeping me gripped the most.
It's because you're not as with the best will in the world. You're not as invested in Ollie as a character. So the focus is on how do the relatives of the person who's dying, how do they cope? Whereas Sinead was a bit more of a mixture of like no, I didn't watch it, but what does she think and what does Daniel think, and then the affair and everything. Whereas this is just literally watching a mother trying to process her grief and come to terms with the fact that she's going to have to say goodbye to her child, and when she thought that she would never have to do that, and she would go before he did, and then and it's just because obviously we know they can give this guy however many £500,000 they want. He's not going to fix Ollie. There's no cure for this. We don't know what he's offering.
No,
but
I mean,
it's not going to work.
I mean, they could, and I don't think this is going to happen, have it that he comes over, they found £500,000 down the back of the sofa, they give it to him, and it extends Ollie's life for 6 months, 12 months or whatever. That could happen, but it feels like it's not going to happen, doesn't it?
No, it really feels like it won't. And like what they could also just send him to Germany and say, oh no, Ollie's really good, he lives on a farm in Germany with all the other children.
Yeah.
Like when your dog
Miss
dies.
Tanta Pam. Yeah, and I hope that this story's over by the 60th. I don't need the 60th anniversary of Corrie to be everybody really, really sad. I'd rather there was a bit more exciting drama and silly drama and, villain drama. I don't need this.
I think that...
Which also means that it feels to me like that his imminent demise is imminent.
I think I am much more interested in how people are going to cope with thinking about this dilemma, because I think it is a dilemma, of giving up £500,000 for ... question mark. Because if it was your kid, yeah, £500,000, whatever you want, you can have whatever you want. You wouldn't care. Take everything. Take all the clothes I'm wearing. I'll be naked and live in a ditch. I don't care. Save my child, even if it's for another week. But if you're one removed, say you're Tracy, and you're saying, I can't say no, but £500,000.
Do you think that they're going to find this £500,000? Do you think that Emma's sponsored silence?
Oh, no.
I think if they find £500,000, it's going to feel too unrealistic.
It's not.
Surely they can't.
No, but listen, the thing is, they could find £500,000. I think they could, but what are going to be the consequences of that? Because let's not forget that there are still a few children who are dependent on these adults. Simon, Amy, now we've got Sam as well. These parents aren't just looking out for Ollie's best interest, they're looking out for their other children. And Leanne only has Ollie to care about. Well, no, she's got Simon as well. Yeah. They've got assets. I mean, Tracy's got a flower shop. She could sell that. She could sell her business. Because I was looking up, wasn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Earlier in the week, how much could you sell a flower business for? You could sell a flower business for about 50 to 100 grand. You could sell your taxi firm. I don't know how much for. Depends on lots of factors. But you could sell that. You could sell your house. You could sell lots of...
Yeah.
They do have lots of assets. Nick's got factory. How much are people willing to sacrifice for Ollie?
Is Nick going to
without knowing what's going to be the outcome?
Will Nick try and sell the factory to Ray?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, but the thing is, if they said, right, you give me £500,000 and we'll cure Ollie, it'd be absolutely fine and it'd be perfect. Yeah, that seems like a good deal. Anyone would go for that. But if they said, right, you give me £500,000 and Ollie might not wake up again,
Yeah, but he'll still be alive.
What would you? What would?
I can't.
The thing is,
I can't
No,
put
you can't.
myself in the position.
you
Not
if
being
you're
a
Leanne,
parent.
the answer's yes every single time.
Yeah.
But Tracy's the one that's already pointed out, like, this is a lot of money here. She's got Amy to think of. Amy probably wants to go to university. She probably has savings put aside for her.
Mm.
Is she going to give that to Ollie?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you give money to say, yeah, well, on servers, if somebody's asking you and you were like put on the spot for a YouTube video and they said, would you give all your money, all your savings to save a child's life instead of giving it to your current child to go to university with? You'd say, of course I'd save a child's life. Who wouldn't? What a monster. But if it was actually you and you actually really had to give that money up, you would have a think about it.
Mm.
Just like Tracy is, going, wait a minute.
Yeah. And
Because if it's not just bringing him back to life again, is it? We don't know.
I don't know how much Tracy would resent Leanne for doing it as well.
Because if say she sells her business and she gives them 100 grand, then what's she gonna do?
Mm.
She's jobless. She could end up homeless.
Yeah. Gosh, what a dilemma.
And then what's Amy gonna do?
And all this is going on, but then at the same time, there's also the flies in the ointment of Imran and Toya's fostering, and also obviously the whole Nick, Sam, Natasha element to the story. Which,
well, this is the other
exciting
thing.
as it is, it feels like the story doesn't necessarily need it.
Like, if you're Toya and Leanne's going, oh, I need £500,000 to save Ollie's life, and you're like, oh, I want to move out so I can get my own place so I can foster a kid.
Mm.
How could you be going, I'm picking out curtains with Imran today, and then she'd say, oh, well, that money sure would be handy if I was to save my kid from dying, but no, you feel free to get whatever colour you like.
Yeah. What were your what did you think about the Nick plot development this week? And the fact that it is definitely Nick's.
I don't know.
And it's
a
not
bit weird,
really a retcon, but it's one of those ones like, well, we didn't see it happen, so therefore, blah, blah, blah. It's a Susan Barlow style retcon, isn't it?
Yeah.
Susan Barlow Billy one.
On the horizon to think that there's going to be a bit where Nick's going, fake son or real son. Got a real son I didn't know about. Fake son.
I don't think we need another member of that family. When Nick came back the other year and he had Elsa in tow, I was like, no, I don't need you. We've got a nice family unit here. I don't need you as being a hanger-on. And I know we haven't been introduced to Sam yet. He's obviously been cast and everything. But the
thing is,
it feels like he's the extra.
And I know exactly, I just feel as though I can see exactly in my mind the scenes that will play out with Leanne and Nick. Itself. And like how she would react, especially when Ollie dies, she'd say, well, good for you, you've got another son. You don't care about Ollie. You don't care, you've got a replacement. That's all you care about. It wasn't even your son anyway, so you go away and leave me alone, you know? Yeah. You can just see it, and Nick squinting and going, no, Leanne, it's not like that.
Yeah.
It feels to me like she's gonna get mad at him, take it out on him, blame him, and then push him away, and then he'll end up with Natasha and Sam.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
she'll be like, "Yeah, I told you all along. I knew that you were going to do this."
In the same way that Leanne was horrible to Toya when she first found out about this, and then had to grovel.
Yeah.
I can certainly see it going that way. I wonder as well whether I've been saying for the past 9 months that I think Grace is going to end up dying and Michael's going to end up holding the baby, and so I wonder whether maybe Grace and Natasha can just Bonnie and Clyde it over a cliff together.
You're thinking of Thelma and Louise.
Oh, the Thelma and Louise, that's the one.
Bonnie and Clyde got shot up in a car chase.
Oh, as long as they both died, that's still a good analogy.
No, because they were robbing banks.
Whatever. Michael is going to end up with Tiana. Nick's going to end up with Sam, because of their dispensable other halves. So maybe
Grace and Natasha are going to be like, we've got to go pick the kids up from the crash. I'll drive. I've only had 5 beers.
Yeah, something like that. I can't. It doesn't feel like Natasha is a permanent addition to the
know.
street. I don't know.
I think
and
to
I
me
really
she
don't
feels
know,
like she'd be more permanent than Grace.
Yeah,
but you're right in a way, because you've pulled out something that I hadn't really thought about, and that's that this story is the same as Michael's story, although he knew that Tiana existed.
Yeah, he
it's
just
still
didn't have a relationship.
Man finds his girlfriend with his baby.
It is, it's long
going,
lost child
go away,
story.
You can't be part of my kid's life because you're unreliable. And he goes, but I really, really want to. And she goes, okay, fine, but I won't be in very many scenes. So don't expect to see your kid.
Anyway, it's all very good stuff. Well done, Coronation Street. I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes next week. Do you want to give a
what?
Prognosis? How long are we saying? For
No,
Ollie?
is that really? We're so bad. I'm sorry if anybody's offended. I hope you've already turned this off because it's not the show for you. I don't think that taking bets on how long he lives is
I'm not
really,
taking bets. It's a prediction.
Good, but I'm going to say a month.
Yeah, if Ollie sees November, if he sees Halloween this month, I'd be surprised.
That makes me sad. That's made it real for me.
Oh,
yeah.
Gemma, let's go for a lighter story. The massive sinkhole that's appeared in the Platt's garden,
right?
Thanks to the evil's machinations of Ray
Waterman.
Crosby,
Colin Waterman.
and Colin Waterman. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Okay, what happened?
Because we did talk about that story for an hour.
But listen,
back to 6 a week, everybody.
6 weeks long. I said I wanted to talk about face masks.
I'll go on then.
Just very, very briefly. People who aren't from the UK have asked because they don't because they're watching Coronation Street and they keep saying, "What are the rules?" Because they're not really apparent to me. And no, they wouldn't.
That's about right.
They wouldn't be apparent to you from watching Coronation Street, but perhaps not even were you to live here. Many people don't seem to know. Like the rules are very strange, honestly. Some cases they're obvious, like you have to wear them in shops unless you're medically exempt.
But people don't a lot of the time, and they don't really get called out for it.
You're not going to get called out by anybody.
No.
But if you work in a shop, lots of them don't wear masks. Some of them will stand behind perspex screens, so it makes sense that they don't have a mask on. But some of them will just be wandering around without a mask on. If you go into a coffee shop, you can walk around in a coffee shop and do what you like without a mask on if you're going to sit down and have a drink. But if you're walking up to the counter to take a coffee out with you, you should be wearing a mask the whole time, which also doesn't make any sense.
What if you watch Coronation Street, though, you might also think that it's some kind of competition to see who can have the most outrageous mask, whether it's Debbie with her massive wraparound scarf or Kirk with whatever the heck he was wearing on Wednesday's
episode. Wearing a bandana over your face like that is essentially pointless. It looks cool, but I really wish that Coronation Street had not had those characters do that, because I know Debbie is very fashionable, and I'm not going to say people are dumb enough to say, oh, if Debbie Webster did it, because it's not like she's a fashion icon, but you might as well not bother, because you're not stopping anything. It's not a mask.
Kirk wearing that thing wound me up as typical. Isn't Kirk hilarious? But...
Isn't he quirky and fun? No, he's putting everyone's life at danger.
I also noted, and I posted this out in the Facebook group, what's happened to Sally's marigold gloves this week, because she wasn't wearing those. Her standards are slipping, and then somebody said she's already touched. Was it you that said it?
What did I say?
No, maybe it wasn't you. Somebody said, well, she's already touched Jeff's computer, so she thought that nothing else could be as dirty.
Yeah. What else is there to say about masks?
Nothing.
You should be wearing them in shops, and the reason why, and you should be wearing them in hospitals, and the reason why lots of characters aren't doing it is just because you couldn't have a whole show with people just wearing face masks.
No, but I'm very impressed by how much they are having people.
I never
expected
them to
I didn't
talk
expect
through
them at all. I didn't think it would work. No. But also, we need to remember that what they're showing at the moment on Coronation Street was filmed, I'm going to say, last week of July, maybe. Roughly second half of July, when so it was a long time ago, and that was round about the time when the masks in shops rules came into play. So Corrie's kind of predicting what things are going to be like 8 weeks time. So
and the other thing to bear in mind is that the rules are rapidly changing here as well.
Yeah, and
so Coronation Street is probably not going to try to do too much to copy what's going on in real life, because they just couldn't predict it. For example, now we've got this new rule called the rule of 6, which means you're only allowed to meet up with 6 people at a time.
Or fewer.
Or fewer, yeah, you have to. No, it always has to be
Gotta
a
be
group of
6.
6. When the postman comes, I'm like, where's the rest of you? Yeah, so 6 or fewer, and you in the northeast and northwest now they're having local lockdowns where they're being stricter, and so rules are changing all over the place. There's curfews being announced, and you can't meet with other households anymore in certain parts of the country.
But the schools still plough on.
It's a mess.
Where's the clap for the teachers? That's what I want to know.
The teachers want the clap?
A clap, please.
No.
Clap for me, listeners. I've been back to school 2 weeks. I'm knackered.
No, you're doing a job like everyone else has to do.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
The whole shebang. On Monday, back on the streets, David and Shona see Ray, who's like, do you want to stay another night at my lovely hotel? And David says, no, we need to find something more permanent. And Ray says, don't worry, I'll help you. I can sort of... I've got loads of contacts. And David's like, this guy, what is his deal? It's very strange. I'd be very suspicious if I was him. David then...
Remember, Ray's link to that family already was through the whole Bethany working at the bistro and accusing him of being a massive molester.
David's probably like, well, you know what women are like. So David then hears on the phone, the insurance company's like, well, if your house has fallen down, we can help you. But until that point, don't bother phoning back. We're not insuring your garden.
Yeah, there's got to be structural damage to it.
Colin
it's
Warman
called home
comes
insurance,
round.
not garden insurance.
Yeah, you should have got the home and garden insurance, idiot. Colin comes round to number 8, and David's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sue the person who built the house, which I think is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't he lucky that it wasn't built in the Victorian era like the other side of the street?
Yeah.
And Colin says, good luck with that, mate. Oh, and also, Coropedia, please write this down. Maurice Jones,
update that page. You know, Steph Barnes' dad.
Yeah, he built this place, and everybody knows he went bust in the recession, and now he's dead.
We had to look at the Coropedia, didn't we? Because didn't you say, is that a person? Is that a person, Mike? Oh, I don't know. Is that a character? But yeah, I had no idea.
I thought his name was Morris Jones, but it's Maurice.
Maurice Jones.
Not Morris.
Maurice?
Yeah.
Always good for a laugh. Crazy old Maurice.
He's dead.
Yeah, no, I thought, I did not know that it was Steph Barnes' dad who developed that side of the street. So I thought that was a nice little history lesson for me.
Well, it is canon.
It is totally canon.
So what does David say? Like, well, I'll sue Steph Barnes then.
Yeah.
What do you do? I don't understand how he thinks he can sue the person who built the house.
I don't know.
Anyway.
He's just you know.
I'll do what I want, he says. David goes and sees Ray and says, oh no, the insurance won't pay. Can I please stay in the hotel? And Ray says, yeah. Do you know what also? Have a beer. And then David is I don't think he's drunk, but they're both enjoying their beers. And he says, oh, life's gone downhill since the day Barney died.
That was funny.
And he's probably fallen down the hole. And Ray's like, Jesus Christ, who's Barney? And David's like, oh, it's a rabbit.
That was funny. David has got all his wits about him. He's not drunk at this point.
No.
He is sharp.
Ray says, here's another beer and also a proposition. And David's like, whoa, isn't that what you said to Michelle? And Ray says, look, everyone knows Michelle's a knack. Just shut up about her. I've got a mate who's in the property game and she'll buy it off you, but not for the full market value, but she'll take it off your hands. And David's like, nah, what? Nah. What? No. What's going on here? And Ray says, look, Ray comes out with the stupidest motivation. I can't believe he expected David to buy this. He's like, listen, me getting my friend to buy your house, offer you to help you because you got a sinkhole, is going to help me sell more lasagna. Okay? Because everybody round here don't like me anymore, and they're not coming here because they don't like me. So if they like me, when they find out how nice I've been to you, they will definitely come here and I'll get more customers.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't know there's a pandemic going on. He must be very confused.
Yeah, it's his fault for not signing up for Help 'em Out Mondays, or what was it called?
Help 'em Out Mondays.
He's had to help out.
Yes. So David's like, I'll think about it. On Wednesday, David tells Sarah about this, and he's like, this is kind of a a good idea, actually. Maybe we should move. And Sarah's like, you can't move. That house has got so many memories. Just remember, that's where Mum did that BAFTA soliloquy.
Remember that time that we got locked up in the garage by Richard Hillman and driven out?
Do you remember that time we buried that man in Granny's annex?
Yeah. So many
memories.
Precious memories.
Do you remember when we buried Barney in the garden?
Yeah.
That's more than a house.
On.
That's memories. And it's like, well, Sarah, you pay for the mortgage then. David asks for advice from Adam. I like this as well. David's like, Adam, can you help me? There's a sinkhole in my garden. And Adam's like, look, I know everyone thinks I know everything, but I am a solicitor. I am not a property developer. And he says, there's nothing I can do. Shona speaks to Nina later, and this is where we get a bit more of the Shona and David romance stuff. And she's like, just for the record, Nina, David and I did not have sex because that would be creepy and weird. But I do really like him and I would like to have sex with him. Is that weird? And Nina's like, don't ask me about that. It's a bit weird. Yes, it is. But you should talk to him and ask him how he feels about it. So David goes and gets this person's card from Ray, and Ray then quickly phones him up as David leaves and go, right, listen, he's going to phone you up and this is what I want you to say. Back at home, David and Shona are talking, and she's like, oh, I had a lovely time at a hotel. And she finds something on the windowsill that used to be hers when she was a kid that her aunt gave her, and she remembers, she has this memory of that, and she's like happy, and she says, oh, it makes me feel happy and safe here, and I want to move back in with you. And David latches onto this idea that Shona's remembering things because of things that she can touch and be around, and she also feels happy and safe in that house. I think he took her a bit too literally, because he tells Ray that he's not going to sell it now. And it literally is just because Shona went, I feel happy here. She says a lot of crazy things, David. I don't think that you should make life decisions based on anything that Shona says.
And Ray turns his back on David and goes, curses! My plan.
Friday. I like this because Shona says, you know what, David, when I first met you and they said that we were married, I was like, oh, what a weasel man. Why would I marry him? But now I think you're actually nice. And he says, I don't know what Jack P. Shepherd did to the writing team, but they do keep making jokes about him having a weasel face, and if I was him, I'd threaten to walk. She sees a letter about the house sale and says, oh, you're not selling, are you? And he says, no, I'm definitely not. And then she says, what are you going to do about that hole in the garden? And he says, I don't know, but I'm going to do something about it. And I say to you, Shona, you probably don't realise this because you've been shot in the head. But when a man says, I'll get round to it, about some kind of handy job that he's got to do, some kind of, especially in the garden, if he says, dig. If he says, I'll do it, I've got a plan, don't worry about it, what he means is, I'm just going to leave it until you forget. And just remember, Michael, I don't forget. Just because Shona's forgotten.
Can somebody come and shoot my wife in the head, please? If you think you could do that or know somebody you can,
Michael,
just email conversationstreet@gmail.com, because I check that address and Gemma doesn't very often.
This is an assassination attempt. Everybody's got this recorded now. That was a threat against my life because I complained about a hedge.
Right. I thought this was okay this week. I preferred it on, was it Monday, the David and Ray scene? That was by far my favourite scene of this story of the week.
David and Ray could be great friends.
Glad that they didn't have David completely falling for Ray, because when he was
falling
sitting...
for his
tricks,
not falling in love with him.
You're so dishy.
Oh, Ray, this beard's
my wife
lovely.
doesn't appreciate me anymore.
Oh, she nags about the garden all the time. She's so annoying.
No, I was worried that David might go, okay, dope, I'll let you have my house.
Yeah, I'll sell
but
you
he
my
didn't.
house.
And when he went, hang on a minute, what's going on? I was like, yes, David, you're smarter than that. Well done.
I really liked
Bit
David's
disappointed in
sly
the next
face.
episode when he was sort of saying to Sarah Lou, was it, oh yeah, maybe. But yeah, I'm so glad that
But the thing
most
is, though,
everyone else on the street, Ray, I think could work is magical, but
can
not
I just point
David
out
Platt.
that
He's
perhaps
shrewd.
Perhaps Ray does have a nefarious plan, and we're still not really sure what it is, but we know it involves buying up lots of property on the street and assuming that means that he's going to put something there that nobody wants. Like I said last week, a fart factory. Just because somebody wants something nefarious doesn't mean it's going to actually affect you in any way. Like, David could sell his house to Ray, go to somewhere else, because there are different parts of even Salford and Manchester, Greater Manchester area, there are different areas, not just Weatherfield.
Yeah.
He could just go live somewhere else and never hear about Ray again. Get his money, leave his sinkhole behind.
Yeah. But he doesn't want to leave, does he?
Only because he wants to
own,
get shown his pants.
He can do his own little window soliloquy like Gail saying, I've lived 30 years on this
I've
street.
lived on this street and I've hit that house with an axe and that one with an axe. I
That's the
pushed my
place where I
mother
had
down
that. Yeah,
this very staircase.
That's the place where I had that car crash and set Anna Windass on fire. Oh, memories.
This is the house where I came across my wife and my sister murdered a man. Memories. Oh, my rabbit Barney.
Can't just sweep that under the carpet and forget
No.
about it. You can't just push that down the sinkhole. Do you think that, I don't know, do you think that in the end Ray is going to get the house? Is he going to up his game now? Because
he's going to get this house by hook or by crook.
Do you think he is?
Yeah. Otherwise, why would they put a sinkhole there?
It felt like last week, the sinkhole was a major threat, and now it doesn't feel so much anymore. It's like, it's, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel so important anymore that there's a massive sinkhole in the garden.
I suppose it's because David's like, yeah.
It's like, let's just stay here. It'll be fine. We'll just fill it in.
I don't know what his plan is.
I thought last week that we discussed the possibility of the house falling into the sinkhole as a big thing for the 60th anniversary. Maybe taking the other two masonettes along with it, but yeah, I don't know. It feels like maybe it just happened for a bit of visual feast of last week's episode.
I think David's being stupid to think that he can have a giant sinkhole in his garden and just not do anything about it and it will be fine, because you have to fill it in somehow. It's going to cost a ton of money.
It's a bit worrying the fact that Lily
Children
could just fall in it at any moment.
Animals could fall in it. That's a massive liability.
Yeah, what about David the dog?
If it rains,
when he goes out to do his little business every evening,
he probably goes out the front now. Does a widow on the front lawn.
Oh, he probably David should train him to do it in Jeff's front lawn.
He should train him to do it in the hole and fill it up.
Yeah, how much would it take?
This is a very good
How many cans
question.
of pedigreed chum would it take
if you
to fill up a
had one
sinkhole?
Yorkshire Terrier and you had a bottomless pit,
yeah.
How long would it take them to poo their way out?
Gross.
How disgusting.
That'd be worse
How
than a fart,
inappropriate.
actually. I was wondering as well how much David is being told is actually the truth, because he's only being told things by Colin and Ray, isn't he? You think that somehow it's a mirage and... No, just things
like...
the
insurance company.
They're
completely different people.
No, I was wondering whether when Colin said that the developer, this Morris Jones, is dead...
Could be lying.
He could be lying, couldn't he?
Yeah.
So maybe Morris is alive and well and is going to show up along with Elaine.
He'll go, I'm so sorry about this hole. I will pay you £500,000 to fill it in. And then along comes Leanne, going, but my son, money for my son.
Oh dear. Yeah, I don't really know where this story's going. It's
I
interesting
can tell you what I think's going to happen.
What?
Because David's like, nah, it's cool, don't worry about it. It's just a hole. It's not like anyone died falling in a hole. I think what's going to happen is someone's going to go missing or something's going to happen and everyone's going to think they fell down the sinkhole. And then everyone's going to say, David, you can't just have a giant bloody hole in your garden. You've got to do something about it. Or it will start to increase in size or something. Or Colin Waterman will go down there and break a pipe. Because really, if it rains, the water's going to get down there and it's going to start corroding things, isn't it? Or undermining the integrity of the rest of the house.
I hope that
then somebody's going to say you have to do something about it, and then it might force David's hand.
I'm kind of hoping that what we saw last Friday isn't the only time we'll actually see the sinkhole. I kind of want the hole to get a bit bigger. I want there to be David wakes up in the middle of the night with a rumbling, and it's not just shown after the beams.
It's not just a fart factory.
It's not just a fart factory.
This is the question I've got for you, right? Though, because we in our minds we're like, well, this is in my mind, right? My mind is. The 60th anniversary story is going to be Ray doing something to the street that's going to cause a massive upheaval and strife and get rid of half of the street. Yeah. But actually, they can't actually do that, can they? Without people noticing them doing it.
No.
And they said they're not going to have a stunt.
Yes.
So at the end of this, is it just going to be the 60th? It's just going to be Ray going, here's the blueprint that you already saw on the show 6 months ago, and it was what my plan was going to be, but you foiled me, so I'm leaving. You've won again.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't know. This is what I'm trying to think. The thing about saying the 60th...
What's gonna cause Ray to eventually leave the
yeah,
show?
And if he leaves before he does any of his plan, then it's kind of
he's already been outed
pointless.
as a massive molester, hasn't he?
Yeah, and it didn't seem to do anything, apart from nobody wants to buy lasagna off him anymore. But, I wouldn't buy...
Maybe Ray will fall down the sinkhole.
Molester.
Maybe, do you think he might go out there to try and, with his shovel,
Well,
to try and widen it a little bit?
Do you think the sinkhole will still be there by the 60th?
Hope so.
Do you?
Yeah, I like the idea.
You like the sinkhole, do you?
Yeah. It's alright, it's fine. We saw the making of on Twitter. It's just a green sheet on the grass.
It's just a green sheet, yeah. Now...
You've been doing some research.
Listen. If you guys are like me and you like paranormal stuff and you haven't heard of Coast to Coast AM, you need to sort yourself out. That's the first thing. Coast to Coast AM is one of the greatest paranormal radio shows that ever existed. But one of the urban legends, one of my favourite things that they ever did on Coast to Coast AM was a story called Mel's Hole, which was an alleged bottomless pit that opened up on somebody's property, and the person phoned in and told everybody about this hole, and people could throw anything in there and it would disappear, right? And eventually they started throwing weird things in there, like they threw a dead dog down there, and then later it was seen alive, right? And then, because of all the mysterious things that happened, and how deep this hole was, an unknown depth of almost over 80,000 feet, right? Because of the magical properties, the government came and took his land away, and then there was a load of other stuff about some kind of weird goat or something. But anyway, go onto YouTube and look up Mel's Hole.
Mel's Hole.
M-E-L, Mel's Hole. Look it up. There's a few episodes of this on YouTube of Coast to Coast AM where he's talking about Mel's Hole, and just imagine that is what is in David's garden.
Sounds a bit rude.
Because it makes it even more exciting than it already is, and it's already pretty exciting.
One thing that I was thinking about the hole, it was that maybe we'll see a resurgence of the Weatherfield pusher, because in the Todd story or the Kel storyline, we were wondering has the Weatherfield pusher returned and done away with Cal, but it turns out today we learned that it was just an accident.
He just fell in.
He is not at large, so the hole is safe. Right.
No.
Talking of the Kel story, let's move on to that. So Mary's found out about...
You can probably just save us all some time by just saying it's not... it was Cal. He's dead. He fell in by himself.
That's basically...
Billy and Paul are
arguing about it. Mary and Billy go off to identify the body, don't they? And Paul doesn't know at this point, but then they talk very loudly about it down Victoria Street on the way back from the police station. And Mary says, "Oh, Billy, I think it's time you told Paul the truth. And what do you know? Paul's right round the corner."
The truth about what?
The truth about what? What was that we said? Oh, it was in the Kevin Abby storyline. We said when Debbie and Abby were speaking very loudly in the front room of the lounge of number 13. And then Kevin comes in, and we thought that he'd overhear them speaking about it.
What were you saying about drugs?
What were you saying? Yeah, but no, he didn't. Anyway, so Paul knows the truth.
He's upset.
He's
dead.
There's more breakdowns,
because it is
crying,
Kel. At this point, it is Kel. Then he said, "Yeah, now it's never over.
It's bringing it all back to me again. It'll never be over."
He goes
and then
missing.
He goes away. Billy comes over to Chesney and Gemma's house later. It's number 5. Bernie's there. He can't find Paul. Paul just keeps going missing this week.
And getting drunk.
Getting drunk and
Sounds
getting
like heaven.
drops.
Bernie says, "Good riddance to Cal. Never liked him anyway because he was a child molester."
Yes, and Paul's saying, "Well, I hope he is dead
because he's a child molester."
Yeah. And then on Wednesday they're arguing, they're bickering, and then a bloke comes along and says that he wants a... Oh, this is the bit where Paul was talking about the man upstairs or something, wasn't it? And then the bloke comes, the police officer comes round the corner.
I'm God.
I'm the man upstairs, I'd like a word, please. No, it's a copper who says, "Yes, it is Cal. He's been dead for a few months, so it's definitely not Johnny and Scott's security guard. Don't forget about that one."
Also, imagine what they saw if they went to go look at this body.
What?
That's horrible.
Oh, yeah.
If he's been dead in the water for a few... That's not what happens.
Paul says to the policeman, I'm not surprised somebody would want to murder Cal. And the policeman goes, aha, I didn't say anything about murder. Now I suspect you for drama. And Paul's like, oh, I can't believe I said this.
No, and then Pearlie comes in and goes, how could you accuse my son of murdering the man that molested him as a child? And he definitely didn't do it. No matter when you said it happened, he was with me the whole time. Right, Paul? Wink, wink.
Wink.
And Paul's like, thanks, Mum.
Paul's gone missing again on Wednesday's episode.
But he's just drunk.
But Billy's worried about him because it seems that when Paul was told that it's definitely Cal and he's dead, he didn't have much of a reaction.
But Billy starts to go, maybe he did kill
Maybe
Cal.
he knew that Cal was dead all along
Because
it
he
was
killed
him
him.
what done it. Sorry, Billy. I know you said on Wednesday's episode that you weren't accusing Paul of killing Cal, but it did kind of come across a little bit like that at the end of the episode, where it's like, so, Paul, just asking, did you have anything to do with Cal's death?
And what do you want for dinner?
Yeah, so that was a bit of a bad move by Billy. Little bit insensitive.
Paul
and it
gets
did
mad.
mean that we have more scenes of Paul getting mad and angsty on Friday, arguing, accusing Billy of being a bad boyfriend, or accusing himself of... it was all...
I don't know.
I don't
Craig
know.
comes over and goes, oh, he fell in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit slippy down that bit of the canal. We really ought to do something about that.
But it's more dramatic if we don't.
Yeah, so Paul goes, after Craig leaves. Oh, you accused me. And then he calms down later. He's done another disappearing act, third one of the week. I wonder where he's getting up to every day. And Billy says, look, I didn't accuse you of killing Can. I was just asking, because you did have a bit of a complex relationship with him. You had a bit of history, didn't you? So I was just checking.
Just checking.
And, So,
And Paul's like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I overreacted.
basically, and that was the end of that. So they're all kind
I'm
of
glad
happy.
they
and
had this
Kel's
story.
dead. I found this dull. I can't really put my finger
No,
on
I
it. But
don't.
It's like, I don't need
I
this.
don't care about Paul and Billy anymore.
No.
I'm fed up with Paul clenching his jaw and staring
He's doing a bit of a Seb.
angrily into the middle distance about everything that happens to him, which admittedly is stuff that you would get mad about, but...
He's
And
just having everything
basically
thrown
Billy
at
following him around with his little satchel over one shoulder going, calm down, Paul, I'm really sorry, are you okay?
I'm just not feeling their relationship in the slightest. And I do...
What do they talk about when they're not arguing?
I
That's my
don't
question.
see what they see in each other.
No.
I just don't get it. And I do like Billy, but I mean, he was being a bit of a git this week.
Well, look, if they're going to throw any old straight couple together just because they haven't had a shag yet, why shouldn't the gay people on the street be the same? Billy's gay, Paul's gay, Coronation Street, that's all they want to know. Shove them together. Sometimes it doesn't even matter whether you're gay or straight. They'll stick you in bed with somebody and
Yes.
say that you were like that all the
Tracy.
time.
Yeah, so it's just I didn't care. I didn't care if they stay together. I don't care if they don't. There's going to be more
care
drama
about
when what?
the impact on the Weatherfield DJ scene.
Well, yes, exactly.
Who's going to give lessons now?
Who is going to give the DJs? And then there aren't going to be any new DJs, which means that eventually it'll be Jeff that has the DJing monopoly of Weatherfield.
Yeah. And admittedly, those gigs are hard to come by now.
And Ryan, of course.
But when it all picks up, there's going to be blood on the streets.
Maybe this could be a new career opportunity for Ryan. Now that there's an opening in
I
the
would love to
teaching
see-
kids
well, they've
DJing
already-
scene.
Ryan, they did do a little bit about Ryan and Jeff being rival DJs, but I don't feel as though it really got as heated as it could be now.
No.
Because
You know
at
that-
the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you abuse your wife or not. It's who's got the cheapest rates.
That bit where Paul said, "No, not surprised somebody wanted to murder him." Was it that suspicious? I probably would have thought that as well. If I'd heard that some dodgy bloke that I knew had been pulled out of the canal, I probably would have said that he was murdered, or just let it slip. But I wouldn't have expected to be accused of doing it.
It's
I thought that was pretty
interesting.
natural.
I was listening to a new podcast I've just found, it's not new, it's very old, but I just found it, so it's new to me, called You're Wrong About. And I was listening to, they've got a very, very long series about the O.J. Simpson trial. And they said that one of the things that made the detectives initially suspicious of O.J. Simpson was when they phoned him up to tell him that his wife, Nicole, had died. He didn't ask them how it happened. He just cried and went, "Oh no, that's terrible." And then he put the phone down.
American Crime Story, didn't we?
Yeah. So that was one of the things that made him suspicious.
Yeah.
And so Paul did sound suspicious because he didn't say how did he die. He went, "Well, who murdered him? It wasn't me."
Well, I mean, it feels like everybody who gets pulled out of the canal in Weatherfield was murdered.
Or yeah, in
murdered.
Weatherfield, but in real life. The reason that they have the Manchester Pusher myth is that people fall in all the time by accident.
Oh, okay then.
It's like the smiley face murders. Is it the smiley face or the happy face? One of them is a real thing, and the other one is an urban legend about people drowning and being murdered.
What do you think about
I don't know which one's
Kel
which.
having this conclusion for him? He does get a bit Tony Stewarted, didn't he?
It
Killed
did
off
feel
screen.
a bit. This is the thing.
And
Like
it's like,
now,
do you remember that storyline that was going
Really
on towards the
important.
beginning of the year, and it kind of petered out a little bit, and we didn't really want to know how to end it, so let's just kill him off.
Can we just point out the complete lack of consequences for Bernie about like trying to publicly shame Cal? They kind of tried to do something about it. Then they just set fire to Gemma's front door, and then Bernie was like, "Oh yeah, perhaps I better stop."
Yeah.
But really, this could have been a really interesting story, especially if he had been murdered, because would Bernie have been responsible as well?
I think it would have been more interested
him.
if he had been murdered, or was it a suicide? Did he have a pang of conscience and throw himself in the canal or something? But
there's a lot more to this story than Paul and Billy's relationship, which I don't care about, and it feels like everything's just been swept under the rug. And we're ended up with them having an argument and making up. And they could have done that about anything. Michael and I argue about literally anything. It doesn't need to be a dead security guard who used to molest us as children. It can just be tea bags.
Yeah.
Don't need to create this drama for arguments.
I'm just not enjoying the Paul gurning all the time.
Paul reminds me a tiny little bit of Abby in that he's just haunted and dogged by his past, and he never seems to get away from it, and is constantly haunted and brought back down.
Like, do you remember that time he was haunted by PJ and Duncan the other week? Anyway, that's about it.
And where's Todd?
Where's Todd? It didn't get much of a mention this week. It seems a bit weird that Todd's bag being left by the canal is what made all of this happen. It seems all a bit coincidental. I wondered at one point, could it have been if he had been pushed in? I was thinking, oh, maybe Todd pushed him in when he was at the canal, because that's the sort of coincidence that might have happened. But yeah, the fact that he's fallen in, it's like, there's no mystery there then. But it's just,
I also feel
I don't like Paul being drunk as well, and I hope he doesn't become an alcoholic, because
that's boring.
Because it seems like you can't get drunk without being an alcoholic on Coronation Street either.
That's not true. They spend all their time drunk.
Okay, like if you're comedy drunk, it's fine. That's not going to lead to alcoholism. If you're sad, tragic drunk, you may well need to take a trip with Peter next time he goes to a meeting.
Imagine Jenny Connor going in to see Dr. Gaddis and going, "Dr. Gaddis, I think I've got a problem with alcohol." And she says, "Yeah, but is it funny when you do it?" "Yeah, it is." "Well, that's fine then, as long as it's funny."
Right, Abby, Debbie, Doodah, Gemma, go for it. What happened?
Oh, sometimes when a story just kind of niggles at you, I felt this was like really frustrating to watch, because I don't like...
Oh, I did as well.
Like, it feels like it got under my nails and I'm trying to pull it back out again.
It got the way... I said I didn't want there to be another Abby addiction story, and I know she's not yet become an addict, and I know she's not yet, gone off towards Peter, but it still feels like it could happen.
I thought this was interesting. I do think that...
I found it interesting how Debbie...
changed us.
Yeah.
I liked how it ended. Right, then let's get to it. So on Wednesday, Abby's bored at home all the time. Debbie clocks Peter and Abby exchanging glances. She gets suspicious. Kevin recommends that Abby and Debbie try to get to know each other, because he's obviously feeling a bit of friction from them. So Debbie tries to get the lowdown on about Abby from Sally, who's sticking up for her friend, Although she says sometimes she's a bit prickly when you first meet her because it's like a defence mechanism.
Yeah, she said, I'm going to give you something to not like about me before you
find out the truth
for yourself. Yeah.
It's in the Rovers. Debbie nearly walks in on Abby on the phone to Peter. She's still thinking about the drugs and how much she really likes them. And Debbie starts to try to talk to
Have you got
Abby.
a straw? Because I'm just outside in the back of the Rovers at that drain and I can't quite reach.
Yeah. Abby says, Abby's just distraught. She's like, you were right about me. You're right. I'm a mess. I'm a disaster. And Kevin deserves better. And then she runs off. And then she finds Debbie at home later and she tells her, I wasn't expecting this to happen.
I wasn't either.
Goes,
I thought that Debbie would find out and use it against her.
Yeah, me too. I didn't give Debbie enough credit. She's actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
She says, Debbie, listen to this. You will not believe. I am an ex-addict. I went to hospital. They gave me morphine. I really liked it. I stole some. I had a swig. Peter grabbed it off me, threw it down the drain. It's easier if you watch the show, to be honest. But now I'm super into morphine, but I don't want to take any because I don't want to be a drug addict again. But I'm also worried about Kevin finding out and not wanting to be with me because he's the best thing that ever happened to me because my life's been really tragic up to this point. And that's why Kevin's the best.
Yeah.
So, Debbie's like, you should probably tell him this.
Yeah.
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 So on Friday...
Definitely, that's what happened.
Abby says to Peter, Debbie knows, but she's not going to tell Kevin, so don't worry about it. And then Debbie is like, you got to tell Kevin yourself. I'm going to take Jack out. Okay?
Come on, Jack. Right? Clomp, clomp, clomp. Oh, here comes Jack down the stairs.
Oh, you can't see him because he's playing on his Xbox.
They really didn't need to mention it or bring him up quite so much because it became very apparent that he was clearly not there.
Look at all the sausages that aren't here because Jack ate them on the way to go and play on his Xbox. I assume he's playing Red Dead Redemption 2 because, you know, if I had a room to myself, you wouldn't be allowed in it.
I think he's too young for that. I know
they have swearing, actually. Yeah, it's really bad. I saw a man get shot in the head.
I know that Jack is a bit older than he should be, but he's not old enough for that yet.
What is it, an 18?
Yes, of course it's an 18.
Oh, you can play those when you're 10. You minus it by 8 every time. Anyway, so so she's going, come on, Jack, we'll go out together. You and Kev have some alone time. And Abby's like, don't go yet. No, I'm not ready. And Debbie's like, tough, I'm going anyway. Come on, Jack. Oh, sorry, come on, Jack. Okay, coming. So they go to speed dial, and I thought this was kind of stupid.
Abby and Kevin, that is.
Abby and Kevin go to speed dial while Debbie and Jack go and have a picnic, which I think's really... Why couldn't they stay in the house?
That's tragic that they thought about going for a picnic in Victoria Gardens.
Well, at this point, Daniel and...
Come on, go to the Red Rack at least.
Daniel and Nikki are getting drunk in there.
Yeah, exactly.
What a lovely picnic spot.
That would have made a bit of an awkward scene, actually. I wouldn't have minded seeing that.
Daniel,
would you mind moving on, please?
Daniel looming over a prostitute, sipping on some beer while a one-legged child and his estranged aunt drink hot chocolate in the corner, looking terrified. Anyway, at speed dial, Abby and Kevin are sitting down, and then in comes Peter, and Peter goes, to Abby like, huh?
Have you told him yet? And, wink, wink.
And Kevin goes, hang on a minute. What's going on here? Why are you looking at each other like that? Is you having an affair? Oh, my God. He turns into Danny Dyer.
That is Danny Dyer.
He goes, he starts to fly off the handle, and Abby goes, it's not what you think. I'm actually... They come back home.
I've got a confession.
Right, listen. I'll tell you everything. I went to hospital. I've already told Debbie this. I don't know why I'm telling you again, but I like drugs again. I went off them for a bit, as we all know, but now I'm into them again, but I haven't got any. And I'm not going to take any, but I really do want to, but I won't. But I don't want to. But I won't, but I want to. But don't worry, I won't. But if I have
definitely won't leave any around for Jack to take.
And Kevin's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm very understanding and I don't mind about that kind of thing. I think you're great and I will support you. And Abby goes, thank God for that. You're the best man I've ever met in my entire life. And Debbie says, God, that's our Kev. He's a stand-up gent.
I thought that was sweet.
And that would have been fine if it had been where it ended. Then it took a turn because Abby says, to celebrate my sobriety, I'm going to go and get us all some booze. So I'll get some red wine for you, I'll get some cider for me, and I'll get some beer for Kevin. Then she comes back and she drinks all the cider, and she's very, very drunk at this point. And then she starts to tell them more about how bad it used to be when she was on drugs. And Kevin finds out that she left some drugs about, and one of the twins got into it, and she said she didn't care about anything apart from her next fix. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter whether her kids were taking drugs or Seb was screaming at her, because frankly Seb screams all the time anyway. Doesn't need to be for any particular reason. All that mattered was
to
her
scream,
next.
you have to open your mouth. I think he just... Mum! Stop taking drugs!
Stop taking drugs, it's really bad. Make me some fish fingers.
He's going to grow up to be a ventriloquist, that Seb, I tell you.
Could be. So she talks about it, and Debbie and Kevin are like looking at each other like they really did not put any thought into saying, we'll support you in your in these testing times, in this situation that we know absolutely nothing about because we're completely naive to it. And then Kevin starts going, you know what, when I thought that she just neglected her kids, I was fine with it.
Yeah.
But now I found out that they nearly took drugs, I don't think I can let her around Jack anymore.
Yeah,
and that's how it
he
ends.
didn't know right from wrong. He didn't know not to touch drugs.
I love the fact that she was like, look, I was chill with all the neglect. I don't mind a woman who neglects her kids, because you know what that means? More time for Kevin. But this drugs thing, I can't abide it, because, you know, that Jack is already addicted to Xbox. What if he finds morphine? It will love that even more.
Yeah.
The potential's there. He's got an addictive personality.
Mm.
So anyway,
is there going to be a scene where Jack goes along to the addicts meeting for his Xbox addiction, and then
Abby there.
when Peter and Abby are canoodling around the back or something,
he sees them.
No, he's just approached by some shady drug dealer or something.
Do you want some drugs, child? He said, no, but can I have Red Dead Redemption 2? Don't be stupid, that's an 18 and you can't be more than 10. Here, have this smack.
Anyway. Was this all right?
I thought this was... It's so frustrating to see Abby continuously fumble. Sally Carmen does it really well. She's fantastic at acting it. She's really vulnerable. You feel very protective over her. But this caveman Kevin, him now thinking, I don't want her to be around my kids because I didn't really understand the nature of addiction. But now she's drunkenly confessed to me. That changes everything. I didn't like that, because I thought it was so sad to see Abby sort of completely relax and go, now he knows my deepest, darkest secrets, and he still loves me, and he still wants to look after me and protect me. Nothing can go wrong as long as I've got him on my side. And then it turns out, as soon as he finds out something about her like that, he's like, no, she's gone. I don't think I can have her around my kid anymore.
He's not quite saying that, but he's either going to say it next week or never, or she's going to see that he has doubts, and because she's got this defense mechanism, like Sally was saying earlier, and she's got such a low, you know, self-opinion, and she's so vulnerable, she's going to see that he's, you know, wavering, and then say, fine, I'll just go.
Take drugs.
Let's go and have a drink of orange juice, Peter Barlow, and, you know, one thing leads to another.
But you think it's going to end up that they're going to have an affair. I don't necessarily know if that's the
I don't want it to, but it's, you know, it could.
Because one thing, if you didn't know, if you're listening, which you probably are if you hear this, Sally Carmen and Joe Tatine are living together in real life, and they are engaged. And one of the things, because it recently happened, one of the things, whenever they have an interview or talk about this in the press, people go, oh, how come they don't put you and put Abby and Tim and make them have an affair, because you guys are in a bubble, so you could actually like touch each other. And she goes, ha ha ha, no, that's not going to happen. I wonder why she said that, because it could happen, but it couldn't happen if it turns out that she has an affair with Peter, because that would just be like, she's too trashy.
They'd just be giving each other
be sympathetic.
But
you see what I'm saying? To me, that's evidence that maybe you're right, and they will get together.
Yeah.
Because if they've got plans for her and Peter, there's no way they can do it.
I don't want it to be, because it's yet another new relationship, Kevin and Abby, that's being tested before we've even had a chance to see it be embedded.
And it's also Peter
Like,
and
if they split up,
Carla.
okay.
Peter and splitting up Peter and Carla, or having Peter cheating on Carla, is just such a boring. Has
We've
been done a
it
million
before.
times.
Seen it before.
And it literally is the fan baitiest thing ever, because they're going to get all the carpet fans on Twitter going, no, my beautiful friend, lovely
accusing
relationship.
Abby of stealing Peter away from their Carla.
Abby's a slutbag hoe. I can't believe I'm watching this and never see it again. When's it on next?
So, two other thoughts that I had about this. One, I was almost thinking that when Abby told Debbie about going to addictions, I had like a little flash in my head that's like, oh, mate, I think Debbie's going to say, I've got a secret addiction, can I come along to your meetings? And that could have taken, the story on a completely unexpected twist, and like you wouldn't have seen it coming. And maybe the reason that Debbie's crashed in the Webster's house at the moment is she's on the run from some secret addiction that she's got, but no, it's not going that way. Also, the thing that was really, really distracting me while I was watching this was the plastic apple in the middle of the fruit bowl on Kevin's table. Did anybody else notice this? It seemed incredibly plastic. Maybe it was just a really nice
You've
waxy
got this thing
one.
about
but I was
plastic fruit.
I couldn't stop looking at that really, really, really fake looking apple on Kevin's table. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think it would be good if Debbie turned out to have a shopping addiction and she was addicted to scarves, because there literally was a book, I've forgotten the name of it now, where the woman ends up buying so many scarves that she nearly becomes homeless.
I want to see more of Debbie.
What?
Off duty as a member of a dramatic storyline, because at the moment I'm thinking, do I like her or not? I don't know.
I
thought
her.
she was an antagonist, but now maybe she's not. She's
just looking out for her brother.
She seems to be a plot character at the moment.
And,
I really did like the bit where she says, "Oh, well done, our Kev." That was lovely.
Sweet. But then also,
I don't know whether I like her yet, but I definitely don't hate her.
No, she stood up for Abby when Kevin was going, oh no, this is terrible. She likes drugs more than I ever could have imagined. And Debbie saying, yeah, but she's not like that anymore.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool, because I thought that it was going to go completely the opposite direction. So I'm glad it didn't. But where now?
I was watching that though, going, you both have waded so deeply into a situation that is so far beyond your comprehension. You're so deep. It's really charming that you thought that you could handle this, but you have no idea what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Dev stuff, Gemma. Only Monday. Dev's unloading to David a little bit about Asher wanting to leave, and David says, look, it's fine. It's just bravado on Asher's part. Everything's going to be all right. Teenagers threaten to leave home all the time. Don't worry about
Unless
it.
you haven't got a stinker on your garden.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
think you've got problems?
Ardy tries to make Asher see that bringing them up alone wasn't easy for their dad. He's like saying, cut him a bit of slack, basically. And Asher's like, oh no, he didn't even bring us up. It was Mary, really. She's not willing to give Dev an inch on this. So then she goes and sounds off to Nina, and then they have kind of a repeat of the scene they had last week, where Nina's telling
Asher, stop being a brat.
Yeah, basically. But they have a little bond over.
I really liked what Nina said. She's so wise. She said, my mum's dead as well, and in my mind, she's always right. Whenever I had an argument with my dad, she always took my side, because in my head, she can never be wrong. And I idealise her to the extent that she's not, it's beyond reality.
I can't remember,
she can do no wrong.
I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I think somebody might have said something similar to that to Asher during the skin lightening story as well.
I don't remember.
I think it was when when Dev tore all the posters off the wall and everything, and Asher was like, "Mum would have never have done this," and he said to her that you, of course, I can never win against your mum.
Okay,
so she's been told this before, so maybe she'll realise. But yeah, Nina is nice. She's wise, and they both have dead idealised mums. And she says, Asher, go and talk to your dad about it. So she goes home.
I mean, you don't have to be a genius to suggest this.
She goes home.
It's the way she did it.
To see how diplomacy works out for her. But it looks like Dev has been doing his sums. He's got some spreadsheets out to show Asher exactly how moving out with her new lover boy Corey could be. And
He's even giving him an entertainment budget.
I loved this scene. He was just like, right, you, sit down, listen to this. And he just listed off this whole range
like,
of things.
you're
like
not
the
even...
electricity.
Yeah.
Didn't even mention the internet, did he? Like the
No.
food, the water, bang, 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 bang.
Don't
I'm
forget
a businessman.
also,
I know numbers. You can't afford it.
Don't forget also your emergency contingency fund for the sinkhole. That will inevitably
Just in case it spreads. And he's like, but, you'll have each other though, so I guess that's all that counts. That was hilarious. He was, yet again, Dev steals the scene there.
How much can potatoes cost? Anyway, it doesn't matter, because Corey's parents are rich.
Yeah, they're minted, Corey's parents.
And also, they made a success of themselves, like you.
Yeah, he's like, I've got 5 shops, actually. I know 4 of them have got blown up, but yeah, she says they've not wasted their lives in a shabby corner shop, and he's like, oh, you got me there.
It's like, of all the businesses...
I'm going to think of a really good comeback to that, Asher, but sorry, it might take me a little while, and that's why we didn't see any more of this story on Wednesday and Friday, because Dev was trying to see what to, get some kind of...
Trying to think of a comeback.
Yeah.
My comeback would be, I own 3 businesses on the street that you live in. You little toe rag.
Yeah, you got a bit fed up with Asher, didn't you, today?
Also, Dev didn't add into his costings for Asher the mysterious figure that he's paying out every month to keep her porn tape off the internet.
Yes.
Which was mentioned as a significant amount
last week it was,
and an ongoing expense.
You thought that Asher was a bit annoying.
She's bratty, yeah.
I didn't hold it against her.
No, I didn't hold it against her.
She's a teenage
it's her
girl.
job to be annoying and bratty. She's a teenage girl.
Yeah, everything that she's doing at the moment, I give her a bit of slack for it. It's
also,
fine.
if you're going to fall in love with somebody, be it someone whose parents are minted.
Yeah.
What? But here's my question.
That's where we both went wrong.
Yeah, damn it. Here's the problem, though. If Corey's parents are so minted, why is he going to Weatherfield High and not Snooty Pants?
Very good point.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. He should be going to flipping Oak
Snooty
Hill, shouldn't he?
But maybe that just means that Corey's parents are better with money than Jeff seems to be.
Maybe they don't
also,
agree.
We had a bit of a throw.
With private education.
Maybe they're lefty Labour Corbynistas. The other thing that we had mentioned that showed how frivolous Dev is when it comes to spending money on his children was Asher pointing out to Ardy that they used to tour around the country playing golf.
He's like, oh, thank you for mentioning
that.
Like,
yes,
I thought you'd forgotten about that.
We remember.
That Ardy used to be the next up-and-coming
prodigy.
golf star.
Yeah. That was such a weird, funny storyline.
That was bizarre.
I was pretty outraged about it at the time, but looking back, it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said earlier, I really, really appreciated this story for being just low level, not particularly high stakes. I know Ash is threatening to move out and everything, but, it's just really nice every day. I can appreciate this story. Thank you very much. Please, can we have it for longer than a week? 1 day a week next week? That would be lovely. We had a tiny bit of Daniel and Nikki, didn't we? Not much, just kind of ticking over where
I like Nikki less and less.
Nothing particularly happened on Wednesday. There were some scenes with Daniel going to work at Adam and then agreeing to go to an online quiz with him or something, but we didn't even see that.
The point of online quiz is that you don't need to go to somewhere to attend it.
Adam seems to be showing a bit more of an interest in Daniel because he can't trust him, because as minutes his back turns, he's up shelling out £200 a pop for
Nikki,
an
why
afternoon
don't you just
with
spend
Nikki.
the afternoon with me and I'll give you money?
But they end up going to the park together, didn't they? The Vicky Gardens, and Kirk is doing his best
sleuthing.
Sleuthing, his best private detective impression, which in the end just boils down to walking into the middle of them and saying, "Hello, I'm Kirk. I'm Bertie's whatever godfather," and
are you a prostitute?
He says,
No.
"What are you wearing?" Or something.
No. He says,
he's
"Are you
upset
on a
with
date?"
brick. Oh yeah, that's right. Beth wants to know because she's being really protective
Because
over
she's
who
worried,
hangs around Bertie.
And that triggered Daniel immediately, and also Nikki.
Oh yeah, Nikki's like, "I'm not taking this."
Yeah, Nikki's like, yeah.
She insinuates that she's a prostitute, and I was watching this thinking, did Kirk actually pick up on her heavy hints there? Because I'm not sure whether he necessarily got what she was saying.
Well, she was getting really aggressive and saying, you should tell your missus. She's lucky I didn't charge you or something like that.
Yeah. She literally, I think for Kirk, you need to say, I have
am
sex
a
with people
prostitute,
for
yeah.
money.
So it's a transaction.
I did think it was funny, and I don't usually like Kurt very often. When they walked out and he was on the phone to Beth, he was like, I think they've rumbled me. I thought that was quite a good line to end it with.
She then says to Daniel, even though we were having a chat and it seemed as though we were going to spend a long time together and it was really a coincidence that Kurt came and moved us on, actually I've just realised that I do have to go now.
Yes.
Because I've got a job to do.
I've got to go in and accept money for sex.
I'm a prostitute.
And Daniel's like, oh, I forgot about that. He
I'll
didn't seem
give you the
very
money.
happy.
I'll
Oh
give
yeah,
you
he
the
did.
money.
He tried to pay her for the afternoon. She's like, he's a regular client. I can't really. So yeah, he is. He's realising the downsides of being in the friend zone of a sex worker.
Yeah.
And that's that story. Finally.
Nikki was really horrible.
Oh, go on.
I just thought Nikki was like, why is she so aggressive?
But she's been
stigmatised
for her job.
I know, but
for a long time, I imagine. She's fed
she
up
just
with people.
seemed to be angry at the assumption that she was a prostitute, but she is a prostitute sex worker.
He didn't assume that she was.
I got confused about what happened.
I thought that he was just saying that she's a bit tarty to be hanging around Bertie.
Why did she get offended? I don't understand.
Gemma, we have got a new character on the street this week.
Okay, this was the
throwback.
This seemed to be the most hyped thing, but
it was over and done with, wasn't it? It's like new on the Coronation Street this week. We've got Archie Shuttleworth's son. He's like, no, he's in one scene.
I'm sure he's destined for greater things. This was a bit of a soft launch.
Yes, this is Tony Maudsley dipping his toe into the Weatherfield waters to come back who knows when. I hope next week.
Be careful about dabbling in Weatherfield water, because the next thing you know, you've fallen down a sinkhole and got pushed in by Kel or Paul. On Wednesday, Mary's going on and on and on about this guy that she met, she says is handsome but very horrible.
And he has broad shoulders. So
broad and swarthy.
He was an undertaker, and he was stroppy about flowers.
Petunias or something. He was mean about her begonias. And Emma says, you're so emotional about this that I think you fancy him.
Mary's like, no,
I don't fancy him just because he's handsome. And then
he does have a bit of a look of Brendan about him, because he was also a stocky fellow.
I said,
did you?
Yeah, I said it's another guy. It's another Brendan guy.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what she ever saw in Norris.
Both related to he was paranormal bloke, wasn't he? And now we got an undertaker.
Oh yeah, the dark side.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if Nina knew about this, she'd like Mary a lot more.
Yeah.
She'd probably hang around her and try and take notes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do you think that George and Nina are secretly friends? Do you think they hang around the creme together or something? No. Go on, what happened?
Right, so I don't know, you threw me off. Emma's like, oh Mary, you fancy George. And then in comes George going, oh sorry, did I hear my name being said over and over again? Sorry I was horrible to you earlier, Mary. This pub reminds me of my dad. He was always in here. He used to be on the show.
He's on the show. He used to say how great this pub was. I never went in there myself for some reason.
Because I don't believe him, because he was always an outrageous liar. He used to say, I know how tall you are all the time, but he never did. Anyway, I've got to go. Out the right way. By the way, Mary, your cosmos are wonky. See you later.
He seems like he was
negging her.
I don't know. No,
when
he did
on
it
the way
for a
out,
joke.
he goes, oh, don't forget, you got wonky daisies.
He gave her a wink. You were looking at the iPad
I wasn't looking at the iPad. He gave her a wink as if to say, you're sexy, but your floristry skills are absolutely crap. Bye, toots. Mary cares about her florist stuff.
I thought I was worried because when I heard that they were introducing a character that was going to be Archie Shuttleworth's son, I got very, very excited about the Shuttleworth name being reintroduced in Coronation Street. And I thought, is this going to be just another Archie? I don't want it to be exactly an Archie, but having somebody in, he's probably going to be a chip off the old block. That's great.
We're missing a big buffoony man, aren't we?
No, don't wish to eyes, otherwise you get another Brian. And Archie Shuttleworth was not a buffoon. He was one of the only ones that clocked Richard Hillman. He was great. He was lovely and kind and big bundle of loveliness, big teddy bear on the street.
Why don't you marry him?
And I when the first that we heard of him on Wednesday was what a git he's been to Mary, I thought, oh no, they're going to make him horrible. But then he comes in and he was lovely. It's like,
All
good.
right then. Well, I'll give him another go.
He turned out to be, and I know we barely got to see anything of him, but he turned out to be just what I would have wanted out of an Archie Shuttleworth son, except
Where's his...
I really kind of need him to have a catchphrase.
Yeah, or some kind of quirky thing he does.
Yeah, because that was the thing about Archie Shuttleworth,
So
wasn't
just tell
it?
us a little bit about Archie Shuttleworth,
Archie
in case
Shuttleworth,
people don't know.
the Undertaker, character in Coronation Street 15, 20 years ago. And one of the things, his quirk was that whenever he was introduced to somebody, he would tell them their height and say he's not wrong. So he'd look at me.
5'5", I'm not wrong.
Yeah, and the joke was that he could do that because he could measure them up for their coffins just by looking at him, which is hilariously dark.
The joke is, coffins all pretty much come in one size these days.
So I really, really need George to have a catchphrase,
You
but I
said
don't
you
think
wanted him to be able to guess people's weight.
something like that.
15 stone 6. I'm not. Shut up. God's sake.
Or you know, shoe size or something. I know
What
it's.
would be the
I know
point
it
of
would
a shoe
feel.
size?
I know it would feel like a rip off, and I don't think you could get any better than the height, because the height's a good one to guess because people aren't going to be offended by it or anything.
No, but I think it'd be hilarious if he knew how much everybody weighed. Honestly, knowing how much someone weighs is a far more useful skill to have as an undertaker than knowing how tall someone is.
But I don't think that George. People don't go around telling people how much somebody weighs. You can get
No, I
away.
know.
Yeah, it's, as a party trick, you can say, "I know how tall you are," but it's it's socially not the right thing to do to go and say, you're
You're
15 stone 3. I'm
you're
not wrong.
Super morbidly obese, aren't you?
Yeah.
BMI category 4.
I would
Whatever.
love him to have some kind of catchphrase. Although probably if he did, maybe I'll think they're just trying to rip off
You
Archie
would, you
Shuttleworth. It would be possible, and I'm not giving it a whole lot of thought, but it
Right.
feels like as a tribute to the great Archie Shuttleworth, who really was a wonderful character, I'd love him to have something. But I think if they were going to, they would have had it in the first scene.
They probably thought about it, but there are downsides.
I bet they
as well.
did. I bet they did.
Right. The other thing about Archie Shuttleworth is that he was Audrey's squeeze,
Yes. And Blanche for a bit.
he left her money.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of last year, wasn't it? That was when Audrey was left that money by Archie when the character died off screen, and then Nick stole it, and then there was that whole story there. So I'm wondering, where was George when all this was going
that's
on?
My point.
Why didn't he contest the will? Why wasn't he
Well, you
miffed
don't know,
that
he might have
Archie
got...
didn't? I can't
He
remember.
didn't. She left. I don't remember whether she said he left all of his money.
I don't remember. He probably didn't. Maybe she
he
even
had
said
half.
she might have even said, "Oh, he left half to his son and half to some to me." I don't know, but it feels like if this character existed, he was noticeable by his notable by his absence. Then maybe he wasn't, and he was mentioned. I just forgot. But it feels like if that plot isn't mentioned now that George is in it, it'll feel a bit weird. Is he going to? Is he going to clash with Audrey? Is he going to butt heads with her? Because we know that Sue Nichols is back filming on the street, or at least the oldies are back filming on the street now, although she's not going to be back until, late November, I'm guessing.
I think if he's as nice a guy as you think he is going to turn out to be,
Really hope he is.
I think he would say, Audrey, oh my God, I'm so glad I got to meet you. My dad, you made him so happy. I'm so glad he left you that money in the will, and I hope you put it to great use. And Audrey go, okay, about that.
Yeah, he's made a really good first impression on me, but it's really, really early days. I've not seen the actor. I mean, he's been doing a load of stuff in Benidorm apparently, and everyone's going, it's him from Benidorm, but we've never watched that. No, I got no idea. But he seems decent, and I really hope it's not too long before we get to see him again. And that's that.
And that's the end of that. If you don't like it,
just over 2 hours for Street Talk this week. That's not too bad this week, but we have still got a score and a character of the week.
a whole hour of that was Ollie Wobbles and me ranting.
Toya Battersby.
And me ranting about what the cost of a child's life is, and showing myself up to be incredibly
uncaring.
And yeah, probably.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter.
You see, the best way, if you don't have kids and you can't imagine the deep bond, just imagine that it's your cat or dog. That's how I do it.
Would we pay £500,000 to keep Abby on life support?
No.
It's alright, she's not in the room, it's gone. Right, what are we giving it this week then? I thought Monday's episode was particularly strong. The scenes where Steve and Leanne were told in no uncertain terms, although Leanne still didn't quite get it, that Ollie is getting worse and worse, and he is going to continue to get worse to worse. I think we need to switch the life support off. The fact that it came like out of the blue, I didn't think that he was going to deteriorate quite so quickly. I thought it's horrible, but it was really, really gripping stuff. And the same with the scene with David and Ray on Monday in the office when David's like, hang on a minute, mate. I was like, yes, David, episode. Well done. It felt like the rest of the week didn't quite live up to it. I mean, the hospital stuff was still okay, but the most exciting stuff of that was on Monday. I don't think exciting is the right word, but you know what I mean.
Compelling.
Yeah. I did get annoyed by Paul this week. The David stuff after Monday was like it wasn't as great. There was no Dev on Wednesday and Friday, and I think that having a bit more of that story, keeping it going for the week, would be good. The Abby storyline, I think I'm gonna go for a 3 this week. I am going to give it 3 T-Rexes after my ice cream out of 5.
Oh, that was.
And I feel like it should be more, but it just there's too much on the second half of the week that didn't quite hit the mark for me.
That was really sad, that scene when they were talking about what he was dreaming about.
I know.
Because I was also thinking maybe he's not even like, maybe there's not even anything left for him to dream of.
Oh, I know.
It's horrible.
It is.
I'm going to give it 3.5 Portuguese custard tarts because I ate half, 1.5 already. Who's the character of the week and why is it Leanne?
I mean, it is really, isn't it? But I mean, she was annoying, but understandably annoying and stroppy, and it's like, come on, Leanne, can't you? Listen, like you said, you want to shake her and say, oh,
yeah,
but you can't.
But part of it is it's not just the natural reaction of a mother, but also that she feels like she's diametrically opposed to everybody around her who doesn't seem to care. Like she's screaming and going, save my baby, why are you trying to kill my child? Why is everyone okay with this? Why haven't you looked into doing this? Why can this German guy fix him and you can't? And then you've got like Tracy going, oh well, Dr. Gaddis said he's going to die, and you know, I can totally, because she felt like she was against everybody else, and basically if you didn't agree with her, you were against her. That was her philosophy. Because she's so hyper focused on saving Ollie, and it's so tragic because she can't.
Yeah, I mean,
and she still doesn't.
I think it probably has to be Leanne, but equally, I think that for the performance particularly, character-wise, I think Nick deserves a shout-out because Nick, he is going through the ringer but having to stay quiet about it. He was great this week. Yeah,
definitely really good performance.
Toya was fantastic with what she got, particularly that scene with Karen. I really like that. I thought that, shout out to Dev as well, just for that scene with the spreadsheet. If that story had carried on and he'd been carrying on owning it just as much he was on Monday, he could have been in with a shot, to be honest.
It was a good week for performances, I thought.
It was, but yeah, it can't.
I'm just going to say one thing.
She was the standout this week.
If
Jane.
You are, don't get too comfortable with seeing lots of Leanne, and feel like that Jane Dance is gonna be on the show like this for months and months, because we all know if you get a massive storyline and you get loads of really emotional stuff, as soon as the ending happens, you're going somewhere and you're not coming back for about 4 months because the actor has to have a very long break.
Yeah, Daniel's going to just say, I know a good grief retreat in Scotland. It doesn't really work, but
you know what?
They got nice shortbread up there. So off you go,
Tablet,
Leanne.
which is horrible.
No, Tablet's lovely.
Tablet's disgusting.
There's
Tablet is just fudge that's gone wrong.
The Tablet is bloody lovely.
No, it's not.
Shut up.
There's lots of Scottish people going to be really mad at me, but I like haggis.
What about Aberdeen Angus steaks?
That's not to do with Scotland.
Oh.
It's a breed of cow.
What about Scots porridge oats? What
Scotch egg, which isn't even from Scotland. Scotch means to fry.
What about Barry Scott?
I love him. Yeah, he's my favourite Scot.
the fact that there's still the whole Sam element to this, and also
Oh,
the
yeah.
adoption element to it, does mean
Fostering.
that the fostering stuff. There's still plenty of room for this story to continue longer past.
Fostering is like
the Ollie side of it.
the fostering is like when you buy a car, and at the end of it, you can purchase it or just get a new one.
I don't think it works.
Put
quite
a down
like that.
payment, and you're like, well, I've already spent a load of money on this car.
Right.
And that one's got a convertible roof.
I think that's it. I think we need to find out some news because
We've talked for too long, haven't we?
we have not talked for too long. We've talked for
Really?
just the right amount,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
as always.
As always.
And
Sorry if I
once
offended anybody again.
Apologies for the offence.
We are not
It's just
the
the way
people
we
to
roll.
come to when you want thoughtful and heartfelt emotional responses to sad children
I
things.
I really, really hope that people listening to it know, and we're not monsters.
Speak for yourself. No, listen, I can't cope. I can't cope with sad things. I just pretend they're not happening. Like, I can't even watch that Paul O'Grady show with the dogs. I can't watch it. It makes me so sad. I can't even go on Facebook sometimes because lost dog posters make me sad. So children dying is not something I really want to think about seriously.
I can remove myself
Yeah.
from it
Exactly.
and look at it and find bits to poke
Because
fun in.
listen, at the end
Because
of the day,
nobody wants to listen to it. Maybe people do want to listen to a
well,
podcast.
if they want to listen
where-
to podcasts with people being sad about things, there's loads of those.
Yeah.
And this is a fictional story.
Yes. They're not real, everybody.
They're not real, so don't worry.
They're not real.
Ollie's fine. He's not going to really die. It's all a big lie.
Yes. It's true.
So
We've been, it's just a set.
just sleep tight, everybody.
I think it's
Are we
time.
going to have to apologise for when is he going to die? We're going to have to do this every week until he dies and say, sorry. Then there's probably going to be a funeral. There's probably going to be Ollie written in little roses.
Ollie wreaths.
Yeah, and then
tell you what,
Leanne will go, oh, roses were his favourite flower.
Yeah, no, I think if a white rose is his favourite flower, then
Well,
we'll
there's
bring
gonna be a
Michelle
fight.
back.
There will
Exactly,
be a
yeah.
fight.
Fight over the grey side. No, it's
No.
Rory's favourite flower.
Shut up.
I think that if he does have his name spelt out in flowers, that would be good, as long as it is Ollie, because I am going back and forth between O-L-L-Y and O-L-I and O-L-L-I-E in my notes. I don't know how to spell Ollie. I don't know which is his preferred spelling, so I need to see it as a wreath. So no Olivers.
Yeah, right, Ollie.
Let's have
please.
some casual wreaths, please.
Yeah.
Shorten it.
Also, the name Ollie in fiction is a cursed name because of Game of Thrones. So
Oh yes,
we
Ollie.
all cheered when Ollie
Ollie
died.
from Game of Thrones. It's a curse. No, I didn't even remember that.
So, what did you expect?
Also, I still can't help saying whenever I see the word Oliver. Oh, what's his name?
Oliver Battersby.
Battersby written down. I can't stop thinking about the name of the school that I used to work at, which sounds incredibly like Oliver Battersby, but not exactly the
Not
same
exactly
as
the
it.
same.
And it makes me chuckle each time.
That's the most cryptic thing you've ever said. Because there's no school
They'll
that
never
sounds
track
like
me
Oliver Battersby.
You see, you can't even say.
No,
Right.
I can't. Look,
This is
so we
always-
just said we're sorry about being insensitive, and then we're insensitive again. So just leave it now.